recording. Now, I'm going to do one thing here real quick. Also, let me see. Okay. Get this sound going. And I know y'all mentioned y'all want the you've been looking for this class or you needed this class. What's some of this, like in the chat, just what some of the things that you're looking for out of this chat? What do you expect maybe be some of the things that you want to learn? Make sure we, that might be something we can add on to. If you want to write anything in the chat over there, let us know here. But I want to also get that sound. How I look, back. And bring the bring the and bring the other mic in there. The lamp. The lamp. Your lamp, the round one.
That lighting is crucial. Can you hear me, Rick? Is my mic on?
I'm sorry, y'all. It's gonna be one moment here. One moment. People still coming in. We just had 10 minutes. Y'all know it take a little while with this class too. So I'm gonna get this thing started for you all. Thank y'all again for your patience. But I want to make sure the energy right and everything. Okay, this is what we'll listen to, the vagus nerve. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, well, so I got it now. So we're gonna go ahead and get this thing started. So first I see somebody wrote in the chat what you wanted out of it. Let me make sure I'm hitting that. Accepting help, reset my nervous system to be able to receive my manifestations. That's the goal. That's the goal of the class. Allowing people to show up for me without feeling like I should be doing it on my own, hyper independence. All of that goes into the key role of it. Yes, that is great. That is exactly what we're planning on doing here. I'm excited for nervous system reset and to receive tools to help me ground mind and free myself from anxiety. That's what's up. That's what's up. We definitely gonna leave here with some things here. And I would like to say, it is going to take it's going to take work. It take work. That's one thing about it. It definitely takes work.
Background gone.
Because I'm about to share this. Let's see if y'all can hear that.
No.
Let me see that though. Well, we're just gonna go ahead and begin. So first, I want to just make sure we all are on the same energy here, the same vibration. And so just beginning, like we always do, we wanna make sure we stretch our body, stretch ourselves, make sure we kind of get into the moment, get the tension out of us, get these different, the nerves or whatever may be going on with you before the class start. Like I say, we want to create the same energy space amongst each other here. And we always just want to begin with the breathing exercise. It's very simple. Nothing too hard, nothing too difficult. This is just to begin for the class. So I want you to just take a deep breath in and release. I want to take another deep breath in and release. Continue to breathe in and breathe out on your own. as you do that, just release the day, release the tension, release whatever you might have been through, anything that might be on your mind right now. Just give this time to yourself, a moment of just peace and relaxation for you. This is what the nervous system regulation is all about. Calming down and being in the moment. The tension just be moved from your body. We're just gonna bring it back. Get back comfortable. Get ready to learn some good information, some good knowledge with some people that's on the same page as you. We're here for showing love. We're here for love. We're here for healing. We're here for understanding. We're here for knowledge. We're here to be authentic. Not social media. This is real healing. Now thank yourself for even showing up. Anytime you want to come back, you can bring it back in. That's lovely. That's lovely. I hope you feel a little bit better after that. I hope kind of calm things down. They calm down things for me because I was on the edge with the sound and everything like that. But I hope that kind of put us in the same zone, in the same space here. So let's get the teaching started. Let's go ahead and get the teaching started. The teaching, the preaching, and a little bit of extra with it. Let's go ahead and get this started. So let me sure something here. I wish you could hear this.
Hear what? Yes, it's loud enough.
Okay. I didn't know if y'all could hear that music or not. All right, so let's go ahead and get it started. I'm gonna go ahead and share. Let me see what y'all see real quick before we begin here. Okay. All right, here we go. So I wanted to start, the main thing I wanted to start with, I wanted to kind of give you a real live story to kind of show what we're going to be teaching about here. So we're going to begin the class here. We're going to talk about the nervous system because first we need to know what the nervous system is. Correct? We need to know what it is just even about and why is it important for us to know this. Once we get past the nervous system regulation, then that's when Dipo is going to come in and he's going to say the things about the body and go into those different aspects. That'll be the second part, but I'm going to begin this with a story. You know how I like to do. If you took my class before, one of the main things I like to do, I like to start off big. I like to show you what it looks like, and then we're going to explain that later on throughout the throughout this lecture of what it is. All right, so like I said, I wanted to begin with a story. So this story is going to break down basically how we even get to the point where our nervous system is not regulated. How do we get out of whack? How do these things end up happening to us where we can where we can just be anxious all the time, can be on the edge. Maybe if we had an illustration or a story, we can see how this happens. And you could probably relate to some of these very things that's in the story as well. You could probably relate to this because we all have went through things, and we all go through situations where it affects how we perceive the world, and then it actually has an effect on our body. One of the main things that we know now is that our body is always taking score. We go through something traumatic, the body is taking that score. We go through something that overwhelming, that scares us, the body is taking score. We might have forgot about it at the conscious level of our mind, but when we see these things come up again, these same triggers and different things will end up affecting us. So it's good to know this. But here's the story, and like I say, this story is to give an illustration of how this happens. So first we go with the trigger that wasn't there. So part one, it begins with the early shock. So this is about Amira. So Amira was 7. Her father left home without saying goodbye. The night before, she spilled juice on his papers. He didn't yell, but the silence that followed echoed louder than any punishment. The next morning, he was gone. No explanation, just the sound of the front door saying he's not coming back. Even though that one moment might have been small, it imprinted in her system unresolved fear, guilt, and abandonment. And at that time, she might not have understood this, but the nervous system registered this as a threat to survival. Now, let's just break that down real quick, just that one part. I don't want to go too off subject, but just even our perception of the situation remains in our nervous system. The perception that he left possibly because of what she did, even though it might not have been that, but he left because of that, leaving her with a sense of abandonment. Now the nervous system still registers this, and it's unresolved fear and guilt and abandonment. When I make a mistake, people disappear. You see how it shows up? When I make a mistake, people disappear. And this can go all the way back to 7. All the way back to 7 of something small that happened, but your brain correlated it with that particular situation. And now as an adult, when you make a mistake, boom, people disappear. And then you have things that reinforce it, because it say, okay, it happened again, so this must be true. Now, biologically, what happened inside her body was powerful. And that's what we're going to talk about slightly here, is the body as well. The amygdala, the brain's fear center, lit up and filled with the event under danger. Her sympathetic nervous system activated, adrenaline pump, heart race, digestion slowed. Even after the moment passed, her body remembered. And we're going to talk about these aspects too, by the way, if these words kind of throw it off, but I want to show how the programming happens. So the ventral vagus nerve, which should help her feel safe and connected, stopped firing effectively. Instead, her body toggled between fight or flight, sympathetic, and a shutdown mode, dural vagus, depending on her environment, her root. On the outside, she grew up normal, but the inside her body and the trauma became a frequency, and the frequency repeated over and over again, shaping her into adulthood. Now 32, Amira is a graphic designer working for a demanding marketing agency. So now you grow up. This is just one aspect of it. As we grow up, y'all still with me in the chat? Make sure y'all still keeping up with the story. But we grow up. Now we grow up, we don't notice it. It's in our subconscious. We're not paying it much mind, but as an adult, it manifests. And we forgot about it on top of that. That's what makes it even harder. But now 32, Amira is a graphic designer working for a demanding marketing agency. She's talented but crippled by perfectionism. Every time she hits send on a client email, her stomach tightens. If her boss gives vague feedback, her chest sinks. Her mind spirals. Did I mess up? Are they mad? Is this where everything falls apart? She doesn't know why she reacts so strongly. But it's no real threat there. It's no real threat. It's not even, and everybody can relate to this, I'm pretty sure. Everybody can relate to these same thoughts. Did I mess up? Is this where everything fall apart? Now think about thinking about this daily. This is how we moving. Now, nothing's really a threat. This is all imagination. This is all something that could possibly happen, but it hasn't even transpired before. But we pulling it from those old memories, and the next thing we know, we overwhelmed. Now the body's reacting just the same way. We went into the amygdala, the fear state, and these different things. The body's still reacting off of that. And it's just an email. It's just an email. That's all it is. It's just an email. And it's just a boss. And who is he? We physical, we spiritual here. So who is he to have you even in that state? Who is it? What is the job to even have you in that state where it's going to affect you far more than that email? That's why people die stressed out and things. Well, let's keep going though. But she's talented, but she's covered by perfection. Energetically, her solar plexus chakra are out of whack, basically. Let me keep going. So part four, this is the turning point. One night after a panic spiral over a Slack message, y'all know about that Slack. Y'all know about Slack. That ding. I've seen people say they traumatized from the sound of the Slack message because it automatically takes your body into that. Oh, what did I do? Oh, there go the manager. There go the supervisor. I know working from home, that's one of those things you can have if you know about that. But Slack messages. Can we talk later? Boom, she collapsed. Soon as she seen that, you go into a spiral. You don't know what to do next. You just thinking, oh, we can talk later. I know this must be bad. I know this must be the one. I know this must be the meeting where they're going to fire me. You just go on, and your body is reacting to that. The body is keeping score to all that. So what she ended up doing, this is just kind of how you get past it, and we're going to keep going into that. But she learned after she seen herself and caught herself in this spiral, she eventually learned how to do different things to calm herself down, how to activate certain parts of the brain through techniques such as breathing, through somatic responses, through energy clearing, through grounding yourself, through rewiring the mind. Each morning she wrote the opposite of her trauma story. Mistakes don't make people leave. I'm allowed to grow. You're going to have mistakes. Just basically the changing of perception. She walked barefoot on the earth daily. And we're going to talk about all these things. That's why I'm kind of flying through the story. But you see how this story ties into basically how it happens, how it shows up in real time, how our body reacts to things based on our past, possibly, and things we've been through, and based on small things that can happen day to day in this society, in this world, that can take your nervous system out of whack, even if it's not that big, but we see it as a threat. An email can be a threat. A message from your spouse can be a threat. Your spouse acting different, that's an automatic threat. And that's why a lot of relationships and things don't last as an adult, because we out of whack with the nervous system. And that's what we're here to talk about, though. We're not here to knock anybody or anything like this. If this is relatable, that's because that's what they wanted it to be. They wanted it to be this set up this way. They wanted it to be where we're overwhelmed, because you never get a chance to get in tune with your soul. That makes sense? That story made sense to everybody? I hope that story made sense. Hope y'all still with me. Appreciate you. And like I said, the story is just to frame it. The story is just to frame what the class is about. What the class is about tonight. Now, one of the things we want to go into first here, because we want to make sure we know what the nervous system is, we know what's going on with the body, and we know and we understand these different things here. And so I'm going to now, Dipo, I'm about to hand it off to you for a second here, brother. I'm about to hand it off to you. Let me introduce you to the people that just came in. So far, just quick review though. We did our breath work. We went into the story of just basically how this shows up later on in life, based on some small traumas that might have happened. Not small, but major traumas that may have happened when you were younger. Now we're going to go into the body. I just want to introduce Dipo. See, me and Dipo started working together probably a year ago. And, at first it started off as as physical training and doing push-ups and stuff like that, and like, you know, I want to get some muscles, you know, that's what I was on. Like, I wanted to just, I lost a lot of weight, by the way, too, but I wanted to get muscles, and I wanted to, it was physical aspect. But one thing that's different with Dipo, and as y'all can see, he's swole over there, bro,
Ah,
swole over there too, by the way, bro, swole over there. But what happened with, but the thing with Dipo, and the reason why I brought him in our class here, is because he taught me about breath work and Wim Hof breathing, and doing breath work and incorporating it into workout, and we would build off of each other with the spiritual aspect of working out and the spiritual aspect of getting our body together, not just to look good, but to raise our vibration and our frequency. And
come
more
on.
and as it kept growing, I realized that it was also about regulating that nervous system, that
Come on.
nervous system. So Dipo's going to teach y'all a little bit more about the body and different things like that. I'm gonna just get myself together over here, but I'm with y'all all the way. Dipo, you want to test your mic? Make sure we can hear you.
Mic check, mic check. 1 2 1 2. Can y'all hear me?
Hold up, we can't hear you right now. Let me see if I can take you off. Okay. Let's see. Y'all can hear? As long as
Mic
y'all
check,
can y'all
mic
hear?
check. 1 2 1 2. What's up,
Okay,
gang?
cool. It might just be my side. Okay, I'm gonna be quiet. All right, Dipo, you go ahead.
No doubt, man. I just want to say I'm grateful to be here. I appreciate Rick having me here. Like he said, we connected about a year ago. I saw one of his videos and he was doing push-ups, and he was doing this push-up routine that I was ironically doing at the same time with the group. And so we connected on that, and then we started getting some work in together. And you know, really, as soon as we started talking and connecting, I could tell that we were of kindred spirits, and that we had a lot of similar interests around spirituality, around around exercise, around empowerment, around meditation, around awareness, and around how we can be the best versions of ourselves and how we can help others do that. And so that has been my work for quite some time. And I'm grateful to do that and to be here with you guys. You know, a couple things that I wanted to touch on with Rick that I really appreciate is his commitment to this work. I'm sure y'all know, but it's not easy to get on these platforms and to put yourself out there on a consistent basis the way that he does. And I look up to, appreciate the way that he's able to do that. And also his commitment to knowledge. He is a seeker of knowledge, of wisdom, and that is why we are here, so that we can share that wisdom and so that we can grow together. So big up to Rick on that. Part of my story is I've been training for probably close to 10 years now. I got into training from an empowerment perspective, and I recognized early on that training the physical body empowered me to be the best version, a better version of myself out there in the world, in the real world. And so when I discovered this, it kind of led me to this work of empowering other people through the body. And it has just grown with time. So, you know, when we talk about the nervous system and we talk about nervous system regulation, I really started to go down this rabbit hole around 2020, COVID, and everybody had to start wearing masks for to prevent the spread, right? And so a lot of people were complaining about how they had a hard time breathing with the mask on, and I just thought I really need to go down this rabbit hole of breathing and understand breath work and how we can utilize that to help us be better, right? And to help us manage life more effectively. So I've been going down this rabbit hole of breath work, of nervous system regulation, for a few years now, and applying these tools and using these tools has helped me manage myself more effectively, has helped optimize my nervous system, has helped reduce chronic anxiety, has helped reduce those racing thoughts, and helped me be more aware of what is happening within the body. That awareness is really the starting point of nervous system regulation work, because how can I regulate the nervous system? How can one regulate the nervous system if they don't know what even they're experiencing? Am I in fight or flight? Am I in freeze? Am I in fawn? Am I more in the parasympathetic part of our nervous system? So awareness is the basis of which we operate this stuff from. And as I'm talking here, I want you guys to bring your awareness to your breath. All right. When we're breathing, we want our diaphragm, which is just under our rib cage, to be the motor of our breath, right? So our diaphragm is a muscle that helps draw air into the body. And it should be the motor of our breath. But if we're not very conscious of it, or if we haven't trained it very much, it's easy for the upper neck and chest muscles to be used for respiration when we want our diaphragm to be doing the work. So as we're here, we're just thinking about drawing in air from our, which is also our solar plexus chakra region, right? And so we want to be able to draw in air from that diaphragm. All right, so we're going to go into a little bit about the nervous system. When we talk about nervous system regulation, what we're talking about is the autonomic nervous system. And that term autonomic, it describes it in a way to where it makes it seem like we don't have control over it, but we absolutely do. And so within the autonomic nervous system, we have two branches. We have the sympathetic part of our nervous system. Sympathetic, the characteristics are fight, flight, and freeze, right? So those are our options when we are in the sympathetic part of our nervous system. We can either, our nervous system perceives a threat, we can run from that threat, we can fight that threat, or a third response that isn't talked about very much is the fawn response, which is we try to appease everybody around us. It's more of a people-pleasing kind of response. And that shows up in that if I make everybody else happy around me, then this situation won't be so dangerous. So I'm just going to go with whatever is going on around me, even though it may be against what I know to be right and my values. So within the sympathetic, we have fight, we have flight, and we have fawn, and we also have freeze. And then we have the parasympathetic part of the nervous system, which is rest, digest, recover, right? And that's in the parasympathetic part of the nervous system. That is really where we heal. That's where we want to be engaged in most of our social interactions. And that is where we want to spend more time, right? So the work is, how can I shift the nervous system out of this fight or flight state into a more parasympathetic state where I can be more resourced, where I can have more access to the totality of our brain. When we are in fight or flight, blood leaves the prefrontal cortex of our brain, and we are operating from a more reptilian amygdala, as Ricky talked about, part of our brain, right? Which is a fear reactive and emotional reactive response center in the brain. So when I'm in that fight or flight, I am reactive to life. And oftentimes we can react in ways that aren't the best ways for us, right? Versus if we can be more responsive to life, right? So when I'm responsive to life, there's an input, I take it in, I can assess what is the best possible response, and I can give that response. So when we're not stuck in this fight or flight state, we have more access to our minds and the total thinking power of our mind and our intellect, and we can function from a higher place, a more elevated place within ourselves, versus when we're stuck in the fight or flight kind of response, which we're just reacting to what shows up. So one thing I want to make clear is that being in the sympathetic fight or flight part of the nervous system, yes, is not bad, right? We need to be able to turn on to respond to life when it shows up. What is bad and where we get in trouble is when we get stuck in these parts of the nervous system. If somebody is stuck in a fight or flight state for a prolonged period of time, it will lead to disease, it will lead to chronic anxiety, it will lead to autoimmune issues, and eventually your body is going to start to break down. And Rick is on it in the notes there. The characteristics that show up in being in a fight or flight state: heart rate goes up, blood pressure goes up, our body releases more adrenaline, more cortisol, blood leaves the prefrontal cortex of our brain, and blood goes to our muscles, and our body gets prepared to go to battle, right? So it's either it's going to fight this threat, it's going to run away from it, and it may go into that freeze or fawn response, but we'll deal with just those two, with fight and flight, right? And so there's this activation in the body that gets ready to go to battle, right? And we can unknowingly be operating from that space all day long. And it doesn't give us the most resources within ourselves to manage day-to-day lives. And over time, that's where the anxious thinking comes in. That's where the rumination comes in. That is where we can get stuck in these loops of anxiety, of depression, and of just low energy. If you're running your engine, if you're revving your engine, redlining it all day long, at a certain point, the engine is going to break down. And that's what's showing up in the fight or flight. Versus when we are in the parasympathetic part of our nervous system, we have more access to the thinking resources of our brain, to the prefrontal cortex of our brain. Our heart rate comes down, our blood pressure comes down. There is a sense of flow that can show up from this place, right? And so that is the space that we want to be operating more of our day-to-day lives on. Huberman talks about, the ideal state to be working with. And I think that's one that is calm, but it's alert, right? And what tends to show up more when we are in this hypervigilant fight or flight state is exactly that. We become hypervigilant, we become reactive, and it can lead to just distress and dis-ease over time. We start to notice it and we start to recognize it. So I want to go into a little bit more around the characteristics of being in the fight or flight state and talking about the polyvagal theory. The vagus nerve is a cranial nerve that innervates our heart, it innervates our lungs, it innervates our diaphragm, and it is responsible for helping us manage the fight or flight state or the parasympathetic rest and digest state. All right. And so there are things that we can do to stimulate our vagus nerve so that we can manage those states more effectively. So when we talk about characteristics of fight or flight, right? And this is touching on the awareness piece. Where am I at in my nervous system? Am I in a fight or flight? Am I in the more parasympathetic part of the nervous system? And so recognizing some of these traits within yourself will help you distinguish what is showing up in the body and how you can then manage it, right? So when we are in the fight or flight state, it is a state of high arousal. We're reacting to danger. Our muscles are tense. Our respiration is fast. The heart rate increases. Blood pressure increases. Oftentimes, we may feel cold hands and cold feet. And a dry mouth can show up with this as well, right? So pupils get very dilated, our digestion stops, and we're not able to have really good contact with ourselves and with others. I'm getting this off this chart. It's called the polyvagal chart, and it shows this continuum of characteristics that show up with each state in the nervous system. So when we're in the red, those are the characteristics showing up in the red, right? Versus when we're in the green, some of those characteristics are, we have a relaxed tone, muscle tone. Our respiration is easy and slow. Heart rate is normal. The temperature in our hands and feet are warm. Our digestion increases. And the emotions that show up with that are calm, pleasure, love, sexual arousal. Correct. And we are more able to have contact with ourselves and with others. The frontal cortex is accessible versus when we are in the fight or flight state, the frontal cortex is not really accessible. All right. So those are some of the things that you can look for within yourself when trying to see, where is my nervous system at, right? And some of those cues may show up differently. For me, the dry mouth is a huge one. How my hands are feeling, if I have cold hands or cold feet, is a huge one. And resting heart rate and blood pressure. The thing with these things is that they're tangible, right? And so my goal is to give you guys tangible, real-time tools that we can use to manage the nervous system. So I want to talk about breath work, all right? And Rick touched on that. Our breath is our most readily available tool that we have to manage our minds, our bodies, and our nervous systems. And the more effective that we can be with our breathing, the better we can manage this relationship between fight or flight and rest, digest, and recover, right? And our breath in and of itself can dictate what state of the nervous system we are in. If there's any one thing that I want you guys to take away from today, it is that we should be breathing through our noses more often, and we should not be mouth breathing on a consistent basis unless we're doing high intensity exercise. Our mouth was not meant to do the majority of our breathing, our noses are. And so when we breathe through our nose, we stimulate the parasympathetic part of our nervous system. Nasal breathing promotes diaphragmatic breathing so that we're not breathing out of our upper chest and our neck. Nasal breathing increases nitric oxide in the body. Nitric oxide vasodilates blood vessels and improves blood flow. Nasal breathing with that parasympathetic kind of trigger there helps us be more resourced in the mind so that we have more access to the prefrontal cortex of our brain. Nasal breathing helps leave a little bit more CO2 in the body. And we need a certain amount of CO2 in order for us to have a good exchange of O2 and CO2. So it is this element called CO2 tolerance. And if we're more tolerant to CO2, we can slow down our rate of respiration, and we can have more agency, more control over what our bodies are doing. right? Um, so nasal breathing is the easiest way for us to access the parasympathetic nervous system more effectively. And there is very little, if anything, that we do more frequently throughout the day than breathe. We breathe about 20,000 times a day. And so if we can master that, it will help us manage our internal environment more effectively, which helps us manage our external environment more effectively. So nasal breathing is a great place to start. When we mouth breathe, heart rate increases, blood pressure increases, we get a release of adrenaline and cortisol, stress hormones kick on, and our body gets ready to go to battle. All right. And this is all just dictated by the signal that we're giving our body through our breath. So I appreciate that. All right. I'm glad this stuff is coming through. So we do not want to be practicing mouth breathing at rest. We want to be practicing mouth breathing during high intensity exercise. When you see people using mouth tape to sleep, that's because they want to force themselves to nasal breathe, because we oxygenate our body more effectively when we breathe in and out of the nose. I've used mouth tape to sleep before. It is an effective tool to help down regulate the nervous system. All right. So mouth taping would just be, I put some tape over my mouth when I go to sleep. It forces nasal breathing, and the body can recover more effectively. A big principle that we're touching on here is what helps the body flow more effectively, what helps the nutrients and the blood in the body flow more effectively. When we are in a sympathetic dominant state, there's this constriction that shows up in the body, which I'm sure you guys have felt, where there's just a tightening of tension that shows up in the system. And we can get out of that tension state by practicing some of these tools like nasal breathing and getting outside into nature, which I'm going to touch on next. But recognizing, the important thing that I want to touch on there is recognizing when we find a state of flow in the body versus when we have a lot of constriction in the body, and using tools that help us find states of flow that helps us manage life more effectively, right? So that we're not fighting against ourselves throughout the entire day. So breathwork is the first tool that we can use and the most available tool that we have to manage our nervous system. Another great tool is nature. So when we get outside, immediately our field of vision opens up, and that opening up helps trigger the body into a more parasympathetic state. Right? When we are in a fight or flight state, things get very narrow. Our field of vision gets very small, and we get hyper fixated on small things in front of us. But when we are in a calm and relaxed state, our field of vision opens up. And so we can take in more information and more perceptions. Right? So going outside, opening up your field of vision, helps shift your body from that sympathetic state to the parasympathetic state, right? In just that act of getting outside. So many teachers preach getting outside more and the value of that. And there are scientific reasons around why it's so good for us. And our eyes are part of that reason. Also, when we take in sunlight stimulates the release of serotonin, of dopamine, and especially when we get morning sunlight, right? So if we get sunlight in our eyes before 10 a.m., cortisol increases, and that's actually a good thing. We want cortisol high in the morning, melatonin low in the morning, and we want melatonin high in the evening cortisol coming down in the evening. When we get morning sunlight, it helps set our circadian rhythm so that we're having those cortisol spikes in the morning, which help give us energy, and is a good thing. And then we're having the cortisol come down in the evening time, which helps us get rest effectively. Being in harmony with nature and with sunlight in that way helps regulate the nervous system more effectively. And so the more in tune we can be with nature, the more efficiently our body runs. All right. So getting outside early in the day, opening up your field of vision, getting sunlight, whether the sun is out or not, helps regulate the nervous system into a natural rhythm and be in harmony with the earth and with sun, right? And with the sun. And so that is a really effective tool for helping us regulate the nervous system on a consistent basis. And then we can add on grounding. So when we put our bare skin on the earth, when you're standing on the ground, in the sand, whatever you have available to you, right? But when your bare skin is touching the earth, we pick up free electrons from the earth, right? And so when we pick up those electrons, they coat our red blood cells, and it strengthens the charge of the body. So when the electrons coat the red blood cells repel from each other, and it improves the blood flow in the body. Instead of the red blood cells all coagulating and being clumped up inside the body, they're now more spaced out. The blood vessels are expanded, they are dilated. And so things flow through the body more effectively when we have a stronger negative charge. And so grounding helps improve that sense of flow that we have in the body. And it also builds up easy water, right? So we pick up these free electrons, and there is this fourth state of water that we create in the body called easy water. And when they talk about structured water, that is what we're talking about, right? If you're seeing people structure their water, they're talking about charged water that helps repel pathogens, and it's like a battery in the body, right? So if we think about picking up free electrons from the earth, from the sun, we are now more charged up and have a stronger charge and vibration of which we can move through life with. So grounding, morning sunlight, getting outside on a consistent basis, and breath are three tools that we have, which are always available to us. They are free, that help optimize our nervous system and give us more resources within ourselves to be the best versions of ourselves, right? So when we talk about regulating the nervous system, those are the things that we can look to in the areas that I use to optimize myself. Our breath, nature, and the third one I want to add is movement, right? So when we talk about and integrating movement, using light rhythmic movement like walking, like yoga, like mobility work, like jump rope, like trampoline. Some people use that for rebounding. Those tools help stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. They help strengthen vagal tone, and they help discharge some of the stress hormones that we pick up throughout the day. So using our body as a way of discharging and entraining the nervous system to be in its optimal state. My whole gig is that movement is medicine. And when we move effectively and often, our body operates better. Our mind operates better. We get more blood flow to our brain. Right. And so using movement as a third tool to help regulate the nervous system. One thing that we want to think about is the body can't tell the difference between mental stress and physical stress. So if I'm in the office and I'm doing a lot of work and I'm under a lot of stress, I'm still getting that same stress response as if I was doing a 5-hour workout. All right. The body can't really tell the difference between the two. So if somebody is highly stressed, it may not be the best thing to go do a high intensity workout because you're just putting the body under more stress. What may make more sense would be to go on a long walk or to do some mobility work or to get outside and ground and help your body discharge of some of that stress in a more subtle way. All right. And so using light movement is a great tool to help regulate the system. One thing that I've started integrating is going on consistent walks, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, but just kind of recognizing that my body was asking for more movement. And so what are some easy ways to make my screen bigger? Was that the question? But what are some easy ways?
Talking about mine. I think they talking about mine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna try and figure that out. Yeah.
To work with that. And so, you know, a huge thing here and a big principle that we want to think about is consistency, is access, and what are the things that we can integrate that we can do consistently, that have a low barrier to access and that we can build a routine around. These things, regulating the nervous system doesn't happen in one day. It doesn't happen in one breathwork session. It happens over weeks, months, days, years of practice, right? Um, and so we have to be thinking about this in a kind of long-term skill set that we're building is how can I integrate these tools on a consistent basis so that I can give my nervous system these signals of safety, of resilience, of being more resourced and building up those neural pathways over time. All right. So figuring out a routine that allows you to integrate some of these tools on a consistent basis is really where the work happens. And so, you know, whether it's practicing 5 minutes of breath work a day, whether it's, you know, practicing your morning sunlight and your grounding and having a consistent movement practice, what are the ways that you can integrate this on a daily basis is the work. All right. And that will look differently for everybody. And sometimes there can be almost an overabundance of information and tools that we have. So, you know, you pop online and there's 1,000,001 things that everybody says that we should do to regulate the nervous system, to optimize our health. And a lot of those things are good things. But what's important is what is actually applicable and able to be integrated for my own life and for y'all, all right? And what is in alignment with where I'm at and what I have access to. So the beautiful thing about the things that I just described of breath work, of nature, and of movement, those are all things that we all have access to pretty much at all times. And so
And they
finding
also
ways.
free. It's also free.
Come on,
Everything
G.
you said is free. You can do this
Right.
tonight. You can do this tomorrow. No money involved, no nothing. These are things that God gave us naturally to be able to regulate ourselves. I just had to drop that in there, Dipo. I had to
Nah.
say that because it's amazing that you know, we already have these things available to us that do these things to our bodies, but we don't get but we never hear this. Now it sounds basic and it sounds like, oh, just go outside, but if you're listening to what Dipo really putting down, he's putting the science behind why these things work. And that's why what I was saying, it goes into the spiritual aspect of it as well, and your vibration. But all of these things are free. They already here for us, and can't nobody take that away from you, by the way. But yeah, I just had to jump in there. You was on it with that one.
No,
But
absolutely, bro. That's huge, right? Like these are things, as you said, that God gave us that are natural to us, and that we would have had more exposure to in different environments. But now, you know, we live inside. We're under artificial lights for long periods of time. We're under higher degrees of stress, and the system is not really set up for us to be healthy, strong, and empowered. The system is set up for us to be good workers, to make the system more money, and to be good cogs in the wheel, right? And so when we talk about taking our power back, a big part of it is actually just waking up to the system that we're in, and then figuring out how we can empower ourselves to come up with a new way of being and with a new way of living. As Black people, we need more sunlight than white people, okay? We don't get nearly as much sunlight as we should. The vitamin D production that happens in the body when we get more sunlight helps our bodies produce more
Hey, baby, I'm on a Zoom
testosterone.
call right now. And my phone is broke. This phone that I'm talking to you on, matter of fact, you can FaceTime me on my iPad. Call me. What the fuck?
We're good, all right? So we need more sunlight to get that vitamin D production and to help optimize our bodies, all right? So just kind of recognizing that this system was not set up for us to be healthy, strong, joyous, and free. And our happiness and our empowerment is like a full-time job that we have to do outside of the jobs that we work. That's how I like to think about it. So if that empowerment, that sense of belonging, if that decrease in anxiety and obsessive thinking or rumination is the goal, then we have to treat it like a job that we have to show up for every single day. And when I'm talking about these things, I'm talking about them from a place of real experience. These are tools that I use on a daily basis. And I wouldn't be speaking to them about you guys. I wouldn't be teaching them if I didn't have a strong belief, even more than a belief, a knowing and an experience of these tools actually working in my life. All right. So I hope that you guys are able to integrate some of these things, even if it's just one thing about the nasal breathing, and spending more time focused on nasal breathing, spending more time practicing awareness of your breath. I hope that there are ways that you guys can integrate these tools to help empower you and help you be in alignment with the version of yourself that you want to be. All right. And so building that awareness within ourselves of what is actually happening, where is the state of my body, where is the state of my nervous system, and using the tools that we have to get yourself in the optimal state, right? It's not bad to be in a sympathetic dominant state. It's not bad to be in a parasympathetic dominant state. It is bad when we get stuck and when we are unable to flow within the nervous system. Let me see if there's anything else that I wanted to touch on real quick, Rick. And
yeah,
if
no
you guys
doubt,
have any,
no doubt.
if if you guys have any questions about any of this stuff, just drop it in the chat, and I'll see if we can address it as well.
For sure, for sure.
Mhm.
And that was a good breakdown, Dipo. I hope everybody was catching what he was bringing. Because like he said, you know, these are actual exercises and things that he put me on with it, and I incorporated it into my spiritual practices. Because it was such it raises your vibration, just so many simple things that we can do, like he was saying, going outside, grounding yourself. I see everybody liked it too, Dipo. Check out. Everybody vouching for that. Yeah, okay, thank y'all. See, it's good people in here. We show love in here, Dipo. We show love
I'm
in
with
here.
you, Jay.
Yeah,
I'm
but
with you for sure.
but all of those are so great to use. Just kind of recap and build off what he was saying. Going outside in the morning, getting that sunlight in the morning, putting your feet into the ground in the morning, grounding your energy, putting that intention out there, tying all these things up where they almost become habitual. And when they become habitual, then when you're not doing it, you'll feel off. Because when you're not doing those things, you will feel it. When normally they teach us wake up, set an alarm clock, jump you out your sleep, go put your clothes on, watch negative news, whatever it may be. But if you take that time to let your body regulate, and you said something important as well, when he was like being insympathetic, it's okay when it's time to be. When it's time to be, but it's time to restore and relax. And that's where the issue is coming up with the nervous system being deregulated, because we always in a survival mode. We always on the edge. And what I'm going to go into next is why we got here, or what is that about. But yeah, that was good. That was good knowledge there, Dipo.
Let me touch on a couple more things too. I mean, one thing that comes to mind is that we have those tools that help regulate the nervous system, that help shift the nervous system out of fight or flight, like our breath, like nature, like light movement, right? So those would be more down regulating kind of tools. And then there's another element to this of helping us build capacity within the nervous system so that we can manage more stress, so that we can manage the stresses of life more effectively without getting overwhelmed by them. And so this is where things like cold therapy comes in, or an ice bath. These are where things like hard workout comes in. This is where something like public speaking, or having a challenging interaction show up, to where we build capacity within ourselves to manage stress and to manage life more effectively. And so when we take the call to step in the challenge, there's this principle called the law of hormesis. And it's talking about when we endure a bout of stress, our body responds to that, and our nervous system responds to that by increasing our capacity to handle more stress. The same way we break a muscle down and it builds back up stronger, the same thing happens in the nervous system. And so when we are willing to take that step forward in the face of challenge, even though there may be fear there, even though there may be anxiety there, even though there may be uncertainty there, our nervous system rewards us in a greater capacity to handle that same stressor or a different stressor effectively, right? And so, you know, being able to express that courage to step in the challenge, we are rewarded for that. And I think a big part of that element is being able to have the awareness of what is actually in front of us, and being able to make the decision to take on that challenge. As Rick talked about early on, the state of our nervous system is like the filter through which we see life through. The same way we pop on a filter on the camera, that is the filter that we perceive the external world and our own internal world. And so if I'm in a state of fight or flight, the filter is going to be telling me that there are threats showing up everywhere when these things may not actually be threatening. And so instead of seeing an opportunity where I can go engage with somebody, and who knows what happens from that, instead of seeing an opportunity where I can go learn, if somebody is stuck in a state of fight or flight, they're going to see a threat. They're going to see somebody who's looking at them funny. They're going to see somebody who thinks they're better or worse or whatever. There's going to be a misperception of reality. And so that is the lens of which we see. There's so much in life that we can miss just from not perceiving it, from not being aware of it. And when we have the awareness of that, of the nervous system, and the awareness of, okay, I recognize that I might be in a fight or flight state, and so I might be misperceiving some of the things going on. That's really like step one, the story that Rick talked about in the beginning of class. And then we have more choices from that place. It's not just I have to run away from this thing or fight this thing, but maybe let me engage with it. Let me see what's going on. Who knows what possible opportunities will come from those interactions that we chose to have versus chose to run away from or to fight, right? And so for me, oftentimes it's the small suggestion, the small voice in my head that says, go talk to that guy, or send Rick a DM. I don't know him, but I see he's on a similar kind of time than I am, a similar type of vibration. Let me reach out to him and just engage and see what can show from that, right? And so it's these small seeds of information that we get fed that we are able to take action on that can completely flip our reality versus closing the door on those things because I perceive them as a threat. I don't know what that is. I don't know who that is. I'm just going to shut it down, right? So being able to open up the space within ourselves so that we can have some different information, some different inputs, some different thoughts, and some different ideas that can lead to, I don't know what, but something different than the normal program that runs in our brain. It won't always be loud. The loud voice in my mind is usually the one that keeps running all the time, and I've heard it a million times. Oftentimes, it's the soft, small suggestion that I hear in my mind that says, why don't you try something different? Why don't you try taking this action instead of this other one that we always take? That is where growth happens. Yeah.
Appreciate that, Dipo. That was a good breakdown. That was an excellent breakdown, by the way. Excellent breakdown. I hope you all enjoyed Dipo there, just to kind of build on what he was saying. Pretty much like you were saying, you know, when your nervous system's not regulated, you perceiving reality all messed up. You all out of whack with what could be and what couldn't be. And that's what I wanted to hit at, how practical this really is. Like you said, you could go into a situation, you can go into an environment, and instead of seeing the opportunity, you seeing all the flaws, you seeing all the faults. Your filter is showing you things of your past, and that's that deregulation that's happening. Now your body's reacting off of that. That's why people get anxious. That's why your hands start sweating. That's why you get overwhelmed. It's not and it first comes with the thoughts. The thoughts is the main thing that it is. And then the body is reacting off of that. So the body is trying to help you out. Like, okay, we must be in a threat. You feeling this way. Let's get up out of here. And that's what it's going to feel like. But all you are is at a party. All you are is at work. So it's like, oh, I'm on the edge in the middle of this meeting. I can't even, and then that fight or flight. Okay, should I fight my way out of this? Should I snap right now and say what's on my mind? Should I just leave this situation, or should I freeze up? So if somebody called on you, froze, your thoughts. I'm gonna say this wrong. I did that wrong. I did this wrong. You know, and And like he's saying, over time you can build this up where if you kind of push into that energy, your body then will be like, oh, that wasn't even that bad. I can do that again. And that's kind of, I'm on the same page with you, Dipo.
1,000%, bro. I mean, it's building new neural pathways, right? So we have these grooves. The body loves and the mind loves to go to the path of least resistance. And so it will just kind of insert this program that will come up of like, okay, this is how we deal with this kind of situation, the same way how we've dealt with those other situations. And what we're working on is building new neural pathways, reinforcing new neural pathways that tell us a different story, that show us a different part of life that we haven't been seeing. I mean, there's been so many interactions for me where one conversation, one idea that I've been willing to take action on has turned into a completely different situation, whether it be work related, whether it be relationship, whether it be connecting as we're connecting now, right? And it was all from some seed being dropped and being willing to take that action that is outside of the norm. And so somebody made a comment that it is hard. And yes, this work can be challenging until it's not, right? Until oftentimes there's a shift that happens where there's an ease that shows up within me, an ease to my conversations, an ease to life. There is a flow state that is so tangible. I mean, it could feel like I'm swimming in water, right? And Rick, I'm sure you've probably experienced that.
Yeah.
And so it may not always be there. There are times where we have to grind our way through situations, and that's okay. But there are also these other times where things click into place because of the work that we've done, to where we can find another state of being, and we can find another operating system within ourselves that isn't in panic mode. You know, like I guess our phones have airplane mode, like the nervous system has a panic mode. And most of us are running on panic mode, and we may not even know it.
Right.
So, you know, the work is building a foundation, a place within myself that I can come back to and that I can operate from, that I can operate from my heart center, that I can operate from these upper levels of intellect in my mind. And so using the practices to help reinforce and remember our center, right? And so when we find those spaces in the practices, when life gets us off that center, we have a place to come back to. But if I'm never at center, I mean, I'm just getting tossed around like a boat in water, and I'm not grounded. I'm not anchored to a solid place within myself, a place that nobody can take away from me. And in our practice of meditation, in our practice of breath work, in our practice of grounding and connecting with nature, in our practice of movement, we find places within ourselves that nobody can take away from it.
That's it. That's it. Appreciate you, Dipo. You broke that down. You wrote that down, brother.
No doubt.
And you hit on a lot of great points. Y'all still with me? Y'all still with me? We still vibrate high. We still vibrate high. We still learning. You know I'm gonna come in loud. You know I'm gonna come in excited. You know we're gonna keep it going and raising the vibration here. Making sure you hear Jenny. Jenny, where you at, Jenny? I see Heather. I see Kimberly. I see Sajai. I see who else we got here? We got Rhea. I see y'all still here. I see it's still 14 people in here, and that's beautiful. And I hope you getting something out of this, and like we said, this is the practical aspect of it. Now, you know me, I'm gonna go into the spiritual aspect of it. We about to go into the spiritual aspect of it, the metaphysical. We're gonna get into first I wanted to kind of go into the emotions and the energy centers in the emotions and show how that plays a direct role in the as well into regulating the nervous system. So as y'all can see, I probably was going up and down with the screen over here. This was me just trying to get myself together and seeing what way I'm gonna go. I'm about to plug this mic in. So if you got to talk, Dipo, I might have to let me know, and then I have to take the mic out so I can hear you or anything. But
I got you.
yeah, but I'm about to put this mic in real quick so it sounds even better.
Yeah, this looks good.
All right, making sure you can hear me. Y'all should be able to hear me now through the mic.
Gotcha.
All right, so the next thing the next thing we wanted to go into, because we talked about the nervous system, we went into the parasympathetic nervous system, and then we went into the sympathetic nervous system and the different aspects of that. I hope you guys got a understanding of that. Now let's go into, because like we said, we want to see how this shows up. What does this look like? What do these things actually look like in your day-to-day life and circumstances? So the next thing we're gonna go into is the emotions. I wanted to kind of go into emotions. Emotions play a heavy role in our nervous system and what gets triggered, because our emotions tied to neurochemicals and neural processing. So if you can see my screen right here, basically emotions are not just feelings, they are complex biochemical events that involve specific neurotransmitters and hormones. Each emotional state has a unique chemical signature in the brain and body. Each emotional state, so each thing we feel, it has a certain chemical that's tied to it. Think about that for a moment. Which chemical are you releasing the most? Is it a chemical of fear? Is it a chemical of guilt? Is it a chemical of happiness, joy, love? Whatever emotion it is, it's going to have a chemical release. And these chemical releases have a direct effect on the way that we feel and the way that our body operates in our vibration. That's what I'm saying when I say vibrate high, vibrate low. These lower nature emotions and higher nature. And you need both, just like you need the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. But like the main one we want to focus on though is fear. Fear. When you feel fear, you're gonna feel adrenaline. You know, adrenaline comes out when you're in fear, but adrenaline is supposed to be used when you're in a situation. Like, I don't know about y'all, but when I get in a fight or something, that's when your adrenaline pumping, when you're angry and you can pick somebody up, you can slam somebody over the top of your head, or you can pick a car up. You know, they tell those stories of, you know, the child underneath the car and the mother just picked the car up or something like that because her adrenaline was pumping. Her conscious mind was shut down. These are subconscious aspects, and that adrenaline made her have more power. So that, but when we're doing that, when we're constantly in that fear state because you're worried about the email, you feel me? You see how this tying together, class? You see how it's tying together? When you're in that fear because you're in that email, you are releasing adrenaline in a situation that doesn't necessarily need that to be released. So what do we do with it? Disease, aches in the body. You know, different things show up because of this chemical. It's a chemical. Now, we mostly know about dopamine and joy and happiness and feelings of pleasure and reward, while serotonin contributes to overall well-being. Now, that's a good thing. But let's say we're feeling dopamine all the time, then that's a negative. When we always searching for joy, stimulation, you can be overstimulated. You could be overstimulating. You could be doing, you know what I mean? And that's what kind of what social media is nowadays with the dopamine releases, the quick dopamine releases. Now you have love, you have oxytocin. When you feel love, when you bonding, that's why relationships is key. A lot of people that go through these of their system being deregulated, a lot of times you find yourself isolated. That's not good. And the reason why is you need that human bond to have that oxytocin be released in your body. That builds up your trust. That builds up your connection. That, and without it being attached to a person, like you're not in a relationship and you're attached to the person, can't live without them. But when it's time to bond, you bond in there with them. Y'all building up each other. And I just read a research where it says that people that, and a lot of people say that like, oh, you know, I don't worry about a relationship or nothing like that. I'd rather be ISO because the world messed up. Da, 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 da. No, yeah, it is. But we need things like this, like groups like this that you're with, or a spouse and things of that nature, because they say people that are married end up living longer. Just keeping it real. That's happily married, that got a family. You got money, but you don't have that oxytocin releasing. And society has taught us we don't need marriage, we don't need each other, we don't need to be around our friends and our family. And I was like that. Well, I was like, they don't understand me. So, but that's my nervous system being deep. I had to do shadow work to know, like, I'm not connecting with these people because I'm already assuming they're not going to understand me. I'm being real now. I'm telling my side. And then you isolate yourself, but that brings that disease. Because you don't build that relationship, you don't have that release, that love, that connection, that bond. You can even do it with a dog or a cat. If you got a dog or a cat, people love their dogs and animals and things like that because it's releasing something while you petting them. But then let's keep going though. So if we go to sadness, lower levels of serotonin. Y'all still with me? I know I'm talking fast. I'm talking fast because we got like an hour and a half. But don't make sure y'all still with me over there on the chat now. You know, I'll keep going without the chat coming. Y'all still with me? Y'all understand these different chemicals? We here, real here. I know we real here. Okay. But we got sadness. So sadness, listening closely. Okay, perfect. Now, and if you got any questions, just put it in the chat. But let's go to sadness. So sadness, and I hope y'all can see this screen. So the sadness, lower levels of serotonin and dopamine. So it's lower levels of serotonin and dopamine, often accompanied by increased activity. What we talked about earlier, Dipo, amygdala, the fear state, that sadness, that depression. You can't get up. You can't go outside and get that sun when you're depressed. You can't go outside and get that. You don't feel like doing any movements when you're depressed because the body's shutting down. The body is going against that. So you see how this is all tying together? You see how this is all tying together? Now let's keep going. We're talking about the chemical releases that happen with these things, and you can consciously do these by doing these exercises like he was mentioning, and we'll talk about that in a moment too with the exercises. Hold up. Let's keep going. But these different emotions. Now, I wrote down, well, I got this deep research of the emotions, and I think I want to go over this with y'all real quick. I think I do want to go here. Because I think it'll give you an even deeper aspect of it. I think I want to go there with you. Y'all ready to go there? Let's go there. So, and I'm just going to kind of read this just so you can know what it looks like. So fear is a classic fight or flight emotion in the brain. A fearful stimulus like a sudden loud bang. It triggers the amygdala to alarm the hypothalamus, which then releases, and this is all different. This is showing you how this is happening in the inside, which then releases cortisone. What is that? Hold on, I'm sorry. Releasing CRH. I'm just going to use that, and activates sympathetic nerves. The immediate result is a surge of adrenaline from the adrenal medulla into the bloodstream. So adrenaline races through the body, causing the heart to pound. This is all with fear. This is causing the heart to pound, breathing to accelerate, and muscles to contract, ready to run a fight. You're either going to step up to it or you're going to fight with that. Now, energetically, fear is seen as a low frequency emotion that's felt with the lower center of consciousness. It corresponds with the root chakra, the lower nature of ourselves, the reptilian brain, that survival. When we say survival mode, the root, that's what it corresponds with, the amygdala. Now, this is at the base of the spine and is linked to survival and security. Now, if we all out of whack at our root chakra, then we got deregulated emotional centers. We got a deregulated nervous system. Now, anger, the same thing with anger. Anger also involves the sympathetic nervous system. It has a system, a surge of stress chemicals, adrenaline, and noradrenaline. are released, flushed with anger, the blood flows to the face and muscles. That's why people, you know, turn different colors when they angry. And you remember the cartoons when people used to get so mad they turn red, and then it'll pop off like they get so angry, just the temperature will rise. That's us. That's us. We'll get so worked up, we'll get so angry, whoosh, and what's gonna happen? An explosion. And what they call that in today's world, crashing out. They call it crashing out, right? When you crash out because you feel with this anger, you feel with this fear, you overwhelmed, you looking at things from the past that happened, and next thing you know, you just snap. And that's me. This is me. I'm talking to myself as well. I've done this. I've done this to myself. I'm overwhelmed with work. I'm snapping on the children. I'm overwhelmed with class. I'm snapping on my spouse and different things like that. I'm on the edge. I drop something on the ground. I'm mad because I got to lean up and pick it up. You on the edge. That means that you're deregulated of your nervous system. You don't have conscious control over how to move through those emotions. You're going to feel those emotions, but having that control over the emotions is what we're trying to learn. Being able to manage these emotions is what we're trying to learn, so we don't crash out. So we feel anger and we transmute it into something we can use. We mad about something and we use that to make ourselves better. We like Dipo said, you might do an intense workout and different things like that, or whatever it may be, you know, to regulate that anger. But you can imagine anger's energy like a boiling pot. Yeah, that's what we just went into. In the chakra system, anger is sometimes linked to the solar plexus, the center of personal power and will. An imbalanced solar plexus might manifest as anger, domination, or lack of assertiveness, and different things of that nature. Just think about the fire. So joy and love, these are positive emotions. These are positive emotions. And during these times, that's a key player in dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. Dopamine is released from the midbrain to the nucleus accumbens and other parts of the brain, producing feelings of enjoyment and motivation. So when you feel that joy and you feel that love, then you're motivated. You're motivated to do more. We're going back into that depression. We're going back into that sadness. We're going back into that isolation. But when you start releasing these chemicals, finding ways to bring yourself joy, finding your way to bring yourself love, having that support system, having relationships in your life. I know it sounds typical and it sounds like something you'll just read on a at work or some build your relationships and do these things, but these are things that actually are releasing different chemicals that will make you be more balanced and be more calm and feel better on your day-to-day, and also have a higher vibration. And we're going to go into that. For instance, laughing with a friend can boost endorphins and lower cortisol levels at the same time, a perfect anti-stress recipe. That's why they say, like, laughter is the key. Laughing, having fun. Don't be too tight. Don't be too uptight. That's why I kind of try to ease the class up a little bit. You know, I like to laugh a little. I get serious, but my original previous life, I was a comedian, y'all. I was a comedian. I'm still a comedian to my friends and people that know me. Dipo probably already see that in our conversations. We be laughing and stuff during those meetings, but that's key. That's key because it's releasing these things. I remember I watched a movie called The Secret, and in The Secret, they were talking about they would watch comedians all the time while they were sick, and they actually healed themselves through laughter, through the fact that they were laughing and showing joy and happy during these times, and that released these different chemicals that can heal you. Um, so basically, we just said with depression, I don't want to keep going into these different chemicals that's getting released because I feel like that kind of makes it a little harder to understand a little bit, but you should be able to get the gist of what's happening here. When we go through these things, when you go through heartaches, when you go through grief, when you go through these things that happen real bad to us, it ends up the body is keeping score. And if we never regulate it, if we never sit with ourselves, if we never do the shadow work, if we never do the proper breathing, then it gets stuck in our energy body and we begin to create that reality for ourselves. You see how it goes hand in hand with the metaphysical and spiritual aspect of it, but but the grief and things like that is part of being human. Everything that we naming is part of being human. These are things that you're going to directly feel. Like people always say, don't cry. But when you're crying, you're releasing that tightness out of your body. It's basically like Life Jennings say, you taking your soul through the washing machine. Sometimes I turn on the music and cry just to cry because I want to feel that emotion, to release something off of me. And me, it'd be like Tupac or Boosie randomly or something like that. Something that I probably ain't supposed to be feeling, but it relates to me. And I might release this emotion on purpose. I can listen to Jelly Roll and things like that. Just something. It depends on what I want to feel. I'm going to feel that. I'm as a man, I'm going to be one to release that crying. And it might be alone. It might be in front of somebody. I don't care. But I'm going to do that to feel better, to reset. And I don't want to put her on the spot because she's listening, but my wife here, she went through some trauma in her life, and she said when her mother died when she was 8, and when she died, she said she didn't cry because she wasn't registering it. And this may show up later on in life. I'm not putting her out there or anything, like I'm just saying what grief can do if you don't release it. It just gets stuck in your body and it shows up in other ways. And I think Rhea said that. I think Rhea brought that into attention. If it was Rhea, last time she said the first time she felt it was when her grandparents died. It's that feeling of loneliness. And if we never grieve it and have that space to grieve, that grievance period, then it can get stuck because the body is keeping score. It can get stuck because the body is keeping score and the energy centers is keeping stored. And like we said in that first story, now you look for those things. People are going to leave me. Like my grandparents did, like my daddy did, like my mama did, like my brother and them did me, like my family did me. And then that's your perception. You see it on social media all the time. Men mad at women because they got cheated on one time. Now every woman like that. You see what I'm saying? That's their world. And they can find proof for it. It's called cognitive biases. But we'll keep going with this. We'll keep going. So the lungs is the next part. The lungs, like Dipo was saying, the breath. Nothing beats the breath. Nothing's more crucial than the breath. We know this because if we can't breathe, we can't live. Think about that for a moment. If we lose our breath right now, we done. I'm dead right now. I'm out of here. If I stop breathing right now, I'm out of here.
Good.
It's the life force energy. It's the life force energy. We out of here if we stop breathing. But yeah, so that's let's go back to grief real quick. Let's go back to grief. I like to keep it real in my class. I like to be real about mine. So like in chakra terms, grief can cause the heart chakra to close or become guarded. And part of healing is gently reopening the heart to life and love after loss. Let's read that again though. And part of healing is gently, you notice it said gently, not jumping into a new relationship immediately, not trying to find it in somebody else, gently opening yourself up to that and reopening your heart after loss. Engaging with others empathetically and finding social support releases oxytocin, which can help counteract the loneliness of grief. Healing practices for grief often involve breath work to strengthen lung energy and chest heaviness. Expressing yourself through talking, different things like that, not cutting yourself off. Cutting yourself off during those times is the worst thing we can do for ourselves. Cutting ourselves off and becoming isolated because everybody's not chosen and spiritual is not the route to go. I'm telling you from firsthand experience, it's not the route to go. Everybody's not against you. But they are some haters out here. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that it's not, but most of the time, it can be us reliving past experiences, living those things, and never really getting over them. I hope that helped with the emotions. Y'all still with me? I don't want to bore nobody. Making sure y'all still with me. All right. We still gotta find your tribe. That's it, Dipo. That's real. Gotta find your tribe. Now, so we did just briefly. Let me make sure I don't have anything else about the emotions real quick, y'all, though, because I want to make sure. Let's just go here then. Deregulation, what it looks like. So deregulated state. When the nervous system becomes deregulated, it gets stuck in maladaptive patterns, hyperarousal, chronic anxiety, panic, hypervigilant, racing thoughts. This is all signs of deregulation. Dipo hit on this as well. But hyperarousal, depression, numbness, fatigue, disconnection, brain fog, rapid swinging between hyperarousal and hypoarousal. Deregulation manifests as both physical symptoms and emotional distress, creating a feedback loop that reinforces itself. Deregulation manifests both physical and emotional. So the emotions go hand in hand with the physical aspect. Well, how we feeling, what our vibration is, our emotional centers go hand in hand with how we are. That creates that feedback loop. So deregulation doesn't just make us breathe hard; it makes us depressed. It makes us overwhelmed. It makes us doubt ourselves. It makes us self-sabotage. It makes us crash out. Crash out. Because when you crash out, you don't even know who you are no more. It's been there though. It's an unregulated system. And the thing that caused you to crash out wasn't even the thing that you was mad at. I remember a joke said this dude said he got into a car accident, and he said the dude got out and was so mad at him when he got in the car accident and just beat him up, and he beat him so bad he said, obviously you're not mad just at me. You see what I'm saying? Somebody might take something out on somebody. Like, you trying people out here, in the majority of the society is deregulated right now. We throw it off right now. We stressed out. We rent higher, food higher. The chaotic state of the planet is higher. So you as an individual can calm down and say, I ain't got to be a part of all of this, because this is going to hurt my body and my soul and my journey. Let me fall back and get this sun. Let me fall back and get this grounding. Let me fall back and breathe. Let me talk to my family. Let me be around my people. Let me start walking. There you go. Let me take a long walk. Let me get my thoughts together. Let me take a moment. These are all things that can regulate your nervous system, and you can do them. And like I said before, this might sound overwhelming, but like I said before, eventually it becomes habitual. Can't wake up without going out in the sun now. I can't wake up without my water and getting some water in my body, trying to get fruits and vegetables and things like that, and the way we eating and doing push-ups, because if I don't, I'm going to go the rest of the day and be thrown off. But so a regulated state, of course, like we just said, breath work, movement, sound healing, social connection, cold exposure, all of these are things that we just talked about. Heart coherence exercises and different things like that. These practices work by activating the parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and relaxation and restoring. And it happens in sleep, but most of us going to sleep unregulated. So you wake up still tired. That's what my video was. You wake up, sleep 8 hours, you still tired. Who can relate to that? Come on, let's keep it real in this chat. We ain't all vibrating high every day. Who can relate to that? You can go to sleep 8 hours, wake up, still wore out, the day whack, the day the same thing. It's the same loop, same emotions gonna be feel, same boss doing the same thing. But when you break that down, when you stop that thought processes right there, boom, you start raising your frequency. Facts. Wake up feeling heavy as ASF. Yes, heavy as. That's how heavy we feeling when we waking up in the morning, because you slept, but you didn't restore. Ain't that right, Dipo? Ain't that right?
Come on,
you
bro.
slept, but you didn't restore. And that's what happens when we activate these different aspects. Now let's keep going. We at 8 o'clock. I really want to get into trauma in the nervous system, and then I'm going to go into the nervous system and psychic forces. I got a new topic for y'all. Where we can put the metaphysics in it. And when I found this book, I was like, oh, okay, this is what we're going to use. And I'm going to send this book to y'all as well. But let's keep going. You know, I like to add the spiritual aspect to it. So subconscious mind, I love the subconscious mind. I always bring this into it, because that's what's creating most of these thoughts and these loops that we have through this repetition. Now, neuroception is a term coined by Dr. Stephen Porges to describe how our nervous system, unconsciously detects it unconsciously detects safety and danger in the environment. So the subconscious mind is remembering things. It's remembering. It's our unconscious ability to assess for risk, danger, and safety, often outside of the realm of our awareness. So we might not even know we're reacting these type of ways to these particular things because it's happening on a subconscious level. Dipo added that part in there as well when he was talking about you can see something outside of you and you can be wrong about it because your perception is coming from a unconscious bias, an unconscious thought, a subconscious thought, a experience you went through before, your daddy leaving. Now when you go into this relationship, you're still thinking that those type of things. But unlike conscious perception, neuroception happens below awareness, constantly scanning for facial expressions, vocal tones, body language and gestures, environmental cues and contexts, internal bodily sensations. The subconscious is scanning directly influences our nervous system state, determine whether we feel safe to connect, mobilize to defend, or shut down to protect. And we talked about that. But we got to realize it's happening on a subconscious level. It's happening on a subconscious level. So if you took my other classes, you realize that we can reprogram our subconscious. We can reprogram our subconscious. So the reprogramming of our subconscious will also reprogram our nervous system, because now we will look for different cues in the environment to know if we feel should be worried, should we be on the edge, should we fight right now, should we tremble, should we run, should we crash out, all of these things. You see where I'm coming from? I hope that makes sense. Ancient wisdom traditions describe an intuitive sensing ability that resonates with modern neuroception. So our energy field constantly interacts with others, sensing harmony or discord beyond conscious awareness. We get into the metaphysics now, y'all. We get into the metaphysics now. We talk about the body. We talking about the energy now, y'all. So the heart is an electromagnetic field. If you took my class previously, you know we always talk about the heart having an electromagnetic field outside of our body. So beyond the body, and it can be influenced by our emotional states. So people can literally feel you. I hope we already got an understanding of that. If you haven't took the class, basically we all have electromagnetic fields around us, and it's influenced by our thoughts, it's influenced by our subconscious memories, and it's influenced by trauma, it's influenced by different emotions that we feel. So the same thing is, so this is happening on a chemical level, which we just talked about. We just talked about the chemical level. We just talked about how the body is reacting to fear and things like that, and the different aspects that's being activated when we feel this way. Now we're talking about the energetic nature aspect of it, the gut feelings that you feel, that intuitive knowing. When you have that intuition, and then when you get sharp with it, you get fire with it, because your intuition will be speaking to you. You can feel your stomach drop as soon as somebody's lying to you or something like that. But you have to know how to distinguish it between past trauma and your intuition. Now that's another subject there. We'll keep going. But the body is always speaking to us, and our energetic field is always speaking to us, and we're picking up these things based on our subconscious program. So the energy flows with emotions. So let's keep going, and we're going to go into this a little bit further when we talk about the psychic powers and nerve centers and things like that, which is kind of a little bit more technical, but it just makes sense. I'm glad it's technical because it makes sense of the spiritual aspect that they known for years, and ancient times always knew these things, but now we got these words for it. Now we got these westernized words and information, but most of these things you probably already knew on your inside anyway. So anger rises upward and outward from the solar plexus, creating heat and expansion. So that's the flow of anger. Joy, it radiates outward from the heart center. So it's creating a lightness and expansion. You go around somebody that's joyful, it's almost like any emotion. You go around somebody that's angry, you can feel that emotion. You go around somebody that's happy, it's contagious. You go around somebody's vibration that's low, your vibration may be low. Especially if you don't know how to regulate your own system and be able to bring yourself back. So you're just a victim to whatever is around you. And that's what we done being, victims on to a system, and victims to our own subconscious programming, victims to our own triggers, victim to our own old memories. We're done being victims to that because we now are finding out ways to control it. Don't let me go too far, y'all. I get to preaching out here. Here. I hope everybody keeping up. I'm not going too fast, Emma.
You're
Not
good.
going too fast, Emma. Grateful. I appreciate that, Kimberly. Anybody say I'm going too fast and not going too fast? We good? If we good, let's keep going. So the energetic field around the body, the aura, it responds directly to the emotional state. So a contracted state is during fear, shame, or grief. The energy field pulls inward, trying to protect itself. It's trying to hide. It's trying to hide the energy, basically trying to feel like it need to be protected, limiting our ability to connect with others. An expanded state will be joy. It will be love. It will be gratitude. This will be expansion of our energy field. We can take on more. We can, and then that's where I go into low vibration and high vibration. A low vibration can't even exist in a joyful, gratitude, happy person's world because it's not on the same frequency. It's not on the same energy center. Now, if we allow them to bring us down, we start contracting our emotions. What's the main thing you feel? You feel small. You feel small when you're in fear. You feel in shame or guilt. They show it on these different illustrations. Somebody head down, their body limp. These things are definitely because your energy is contracting in. But we can consciously shift that by changing our thought process with it. So integration, the physical body. So the true healing happens when we address both the biological aspect of it and the energetic aspect of it. The physical body and the nervous system, the energetic body and the subtle energy centers, the conscious and the subconscious. So all of these things go hand in hand, and that's what I'm trying to show with this. Our physical body that goes hand in hand with our nervous system. Our emotions go hand in hand with our energy, and also our chemicals that we are releasing into our bodies based on our emotions. And our conscious mind is making that decision on how we see something, but the subconscious is really creating the perspective of how we see our environment. I hope all of that made sense. I hope all that came together perfectly. And ways to integrate it is through meditation, tapping, Reiki, and energy work. And we're gonna give you some exercise. We ain't gonna leave you too hanging too much on that. All right, so now let's keep going. Give me 1 second. Let me breathe for a second. Let me calm my nervous system down. Dipo, you want to add anything to that, bro?
No, you're on it, man. You know, when you talk about this connection between the body and mind, one thing that comes to mind is how can we find harmony within ourselves? How can we be in a state of harmony or in a state of resonance within ourselves so that what is showing up in the body is aligning with what is showing up in the mind? You know, one thought that comes to mind is when we are in a state of fear, the constriction or a state of shame or guilt, the constriction that shows up in the nervous system and that shows up in our body and that is reflected in our mind. And so it is a felt experience for me of recognizing, okay, my body's holding on to something. There's something there that I need to take note of because I can feel it, and it's harder to express the fullness of myself from those states versus when I am in a state of flow, or I'm in a state of joy, or I'm in a state of expression. There is an expansiveness that shows up in the body that's tangible, that can be felt, and that showed up in how we express ourselves. So a principle that comes to mind, this book that I read, Physical Intelligence, And part of what it talks in this book is how we can use our bodies to manipulate our minds, right? So that's like a bottom up process. We use walking, even just our position. If I practice this position here of being expansive, of opening my arms up, of opening up my body up, and of taking up more space, it sends a signal to my mind of confidence, of security, that I deserve to be here, that I own the space that I'm in, right? Versus the unconscious kind of postures that we take when we are in different states. So you can use the signals that show up in the body, that show up in the unconscious or subconscious mind, to recognize what is the story that my body and my nervous system are telling me. And then you can counteract that with different practices, different movements, to help send a different signal to your brain. And so there is the cognitive work that we do of recognizing when our thoughts are not in alignment with the reality that we want to experience. And then there's the physical work that we can do that can help our minds be in alignment with that version of ourselves that we're trying to show up as, right? So there's the mental work, there's the metaphysical elements of this that come into play, and then there's the physical, and right? So how can we combine these different things so that we can show up as our empowered, beautiful, strong, intelligent selves? You know, anxiety and stress and depression, these lower state emotions, I've seen them wreak havoc on people's brains and their intellect. I've felt it in myself, right? There's times where anxiety shows up and I'm like, Dipo, where are your words? Where's your intellect? I know you are way more intelligent than the way that you're expressing yourself. But when I'm in that state, it is harder to access those parts of myself that I know are there, right? Versus times where it's not present, it's not so present, and the words, the intellect, the intuition, the joy, the laughter, those things show up so much more readily and so much more easily because there isn't all this background noise that we have to work through. And so, you know,
And I can give a perfect example of that. I can
yeah.
give a perfect example of my life in real time, how that shows up. I always talk to because I'm, of course I'm a public speaker, so I go on stage. And while I'm on stage, one of the things is, because most people can't public speak, that's their worst fear. Like you said, doing it and pushing yourself through it, you end up, end up starting recognizing cues when you are about to spiral, or you start recognizing cues where you don't know your next word. And you have techniques. That's where the pause comes in at, and things like that, pausing. Or even like now, like I said, I needed to calm down a bit and let you speak so I can calm down and get ready to release that again to you all. But when I go to speak, or when I'm in a public speaking, I have had those moments when I'm on stage. I know the speech where it shuts down completely. And the amazing thing about it is I'm not thinking about anything. I can't even grab another thought at all. It's quiet. Like, it's like, oh, my brain just stopped for like it's real quick. It can be like 4 seconds. Like, try to stop your brain right now. It's hard. But let you go on that stage and let your body get into a fear state. It might be, I looked at somebody in the crowd and I didn't like the way they looked, or I thought they were judging me based on what I said. And I had that little 3 seconds of nothingness. And my woman, she sings, so she can't. You got to realize, these people that's performing, they are amazing, because you could have that 3 seconds in a song, and that can mess the whole song up. And then you building on those thoughts now that you done messed it up. And next
Mm-hmm.
thing you know, you spiral, and then you have a terrible performance.
Mm-hmm.
But showing up and recognizing those cues, like, oh, I'm about to go into that nothingness. Let me pause, or let me work on this next time before I get on stage and do that. But yeah, I just wanted to give that example.
Mm-hmm.
Deal with it. But
There's
we gonna keep. You got something else on?
Yeah, a quote comes to mind by Viktor Frankl, and he says, you know, between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space is where our power lies to choose how we respond, right? And so, you know, how can we work on cultivating that space within ourselves so that I can respond to life from the highest place possible within myself? If I'm running in fight or flight, that's not what's oftentimes going to show up. It's just going to be a programmed reaction and whatever is most immediately there, versus being able to access that space and choose within myself what is the most appropriate response. I mean, how many times have we seen somebody online get into some shit, some physical altercation or something, you know, maybe even potentially worse, and you know damn well that person had no intention of expressing themselves or showing up that way, right? Like was not the
That's
plan.
the
This is
crash
not how
out.
they
That's the
wanted. That's
crash out.
1,000%, right?
Yeah.
Because there was an inability to regulate yourself and to choose a different response. And so the better that we can cultivate that space, whether it be through meditation, whether it be through presence, whether it be through breath work, whether it be just through getting outside and connecting with your body and connecting with with nature, with Mother Earth, of which we come from,
Yeah.
to give
Getting by
ourselves
the
more
water. The
options.
water is another way too.
Yes. Yes. Mm.
Yeah. Appreciate that, Dipo. Once again, we're gonna keep building, y'all. We're gonna keep building. So thus far, just a quick recap of what we went over. We went into the emotions and the different aspects of that and the different chemicals that get released. We also talked about how you're in a contracted state or expanded state. We also talked about the body with Depot went over earlier, went into the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, the rest and relaxation, the restore or the fight or flight. Basically went into the subconscious aspect of it and how things of the past can be making us have a perception of the things that's in front of us, and how our nervous system is basically like the filter that we use to perceive this reality that we walking through, and to being able to use these techniques to show up like Paul Depot, show up as your best self, to show up as your highest self, to show up as your highest vibration, or to recognize when you're not at your highest vibration. That's another thing. You're not going to always show up, but the awareness and the recognition that, oh, I'm at a low state. Maybe I should stay home. Oh, I'm at a low state. Maybe I shouldn't say this to this person at this time. Maybe I should go on a walk than going in here and arguing with my spouse right now. Maybe I need to go to the bathroom and do a little quick breathing exercise because I can't really be in this meeting right now. I feel overwhelmed and my anxiety taking over. Instead of me going to get a shot, instead of me smoking a joint, instead of me doing these destructive things. And that's what ends up happening. We constantly in fight or flight. And in order to take us out of fight or flight, we have to use substances that take us there. And that's what a lot of the antidepressant pills are doing. They're releasing certain energies and certain chemicals in our brain. And you could pop a pill for your depression and feel great because it's releasing oxytocin into your body, but it has after effects. But we have that in our body because God gave it to us to be naturally in us, that we don't need these things on the outside to feel at a high vibration. And I'm talking to myself too, because I grab for the different things to make myself feel good when I'm wore out of. And then in the system that we live in, it's been taught that that's normal. On the weekend you get trashed, and then you go to work. But on the weekend, when you getting trash, you're breaking your body down, you're tearing your body down, you're not restoring, you're not relaxing. Now let's do this for 7 years. Let's do this for 7 years, y'all. Let's do this for 5. Let's do this for a year. Next thing you know, high blood pressure. Next thing you know, diabetes. Next thing you know, cancer. Your cells is fighting against you when you always overstimulated and hyperarousal. So we got to do this. This ain't nothing this is non-negotiable. And the people that are not doing, and the older we get, I don't know about y'all, but I'm about to hit 40. The older we get, the more we need these things to be doing, because we can't, our body, like, you've been doing this for 37 years, Rick. Calm down, bro. I'm about to break down. That's why you get to 60 and you ain't fulfilled. You're not feeling good. You're not, you know, and that's what I'm saying. These are not, and I'm getting so passionate about it because it saved my life. What we talking about right now saved both of our lives. I know Dipo backstory. It saved both of our lives. We was living completely different lives. Now I'm on here talking to y'all about parasympathetic nervous system. Come on, man. Come on, man. We was in the streets.
Come on, man.
Now we talking about this. We had to calm down. And then being in the streets, it's constantly chaotic. It's constantly deregulated. It's constantly on the edge. You got ops. You got people after you. You're always in a fight or flight state because you're on the edge. You feel me? I'm trying to make this make sense in a basic way. They waking up worrying about the op. They worrying about the feds coming. You wake up worrying about the feds. You got dope in your house. You worry about the feds. You might be making money, but you worried about the feds. I know I always bring this up because I'm sorry, y'all, but I understand this. You know, you never at rest. You never at rest. You shining, but you never at rest. So and you in environments that's conducive with that keeps it going. The music, the environment, the anxiousness, the people overwhelmed, the generational curses. All of this is you here today to break all of that by learning about your nervous system. That's what I'm trying to tell you. By learning about your nervous system, you breaking curses. Let me keep going because we freestyling now. We freestyling now. We speaking now. We vibrate high now. You learning your nervous system can save your life. Learning these systems can save your life. Being able to identify these things can save your life. Just simply having this awareness of this. When you step out of here later on tonight, you're going to notice that when you're about to snap, you're going to say, okay, let me just calm down a bit. Let me change this, because now I'm releasing these negative emotions and I'm releasing negative toxins into my bloodstream, and I'm overwhelming myself and overstimulating myself, and I'm going to crash out, and my body's not going to be able to take it. Then you're going to go to the doctor, and the doctor's not going to know what's wrong, because the illness is somatic, it's psychological, it's energetic. They're not going to be able to pinpoint it. They're just going to give you some type of pill that's going to push it down. But in order for us to save ourselves, we have to regulate that nervous system. Y'all with me? Y'all with me? Let me hear Ashe if y'all with me. Let me hear Ashe. Let me hear Ashe. Amen. Whatever you use. Let me hear it if y'all with me, though. Me and Dipo ain't just talking to ourselves. I know. We ain't talking to ourselves. I know. I know y'all feel me on that.
I want to touch on a study that they did. They did a study with some maids, and they took one group of the maids, and they told them, and it was a study around exercise. So they told them about all the health benefits that they were getting from doing the work that they were doing, and they told them that when they were working, they were getting exercise. So they told them about just the movement and how that was integrated into the work that they were already doing. The other group of maids, they didn't tell them anything. They just had them do their work. The group that they told about the health benefits that their work was doing for them all saw greater increases in metabolic function. So I think their blood pressure came down. They lost more weight. They had improved health markers, even though they didn't really change anything, versus the control group, of which they didn't tell anything. So what I got from that is that when we understand the intricacies of the practices that we're doing, it amplifies the effects. When we understand what it is we're actually doing, the effects are greater. And that could just be from the recognition of the mind. You know, I'm not 100% sure, but the knowledge around the practice makes the practice more impactful and more profound, which is why I appreciate, you know, what Rick is doing here. It's like giving the back story on how this stuff actually works, right? And with that understanding comes power.
It is. Yeah, that's real. That's the goal behind it, because you know you see most of these things talking about manifesting, talking about you know, just these spiritual topics, meditation and things like that. I knew all of these things, but nothing changed in my actual field, in the way that I felt, in my energy, until the practice. I had an understanding of what this practice was doing. Oh, if I meditate and do breath work, I'm going to calm down. Oh, I'm going to feel better. My energy is going to be higher. I'm going to communicate better. And that's what these things are learning about. So you got to sit with yourself to learn this part in order to get to the point where you a master manifester, where you vibrating high, where you bringing things into your life, where you successful, where you got a good relationship, where you in love. This is the background, like Rhea just said here. This is the root of it. They got the science here with it, and then we can use these sciences directly to be able to change our lives and change and get more success in what we're doing, because now I know why I'm standing outside with my shoes off.
Come on.
Oh, you know, I
Yeah,
want
you
these
touch on something
electrons to
there.
go through my body. I want this energy to go through my body. I want my frequency to raise. I want these sun rays to get these light codes that come into my mind that makes me think of new ideas and be more creative and get a life force energy from it, because people eat the sunlight. But let's keep going though, Dipo, because we'll get stuck right here. But let's
You
keep
on it.
going. I'm gonna talk about the trauma, y'all. I'm gonna talk about the trauma. We're gonna go back a little bit here, then we're gonna go forward, and we're gonna have about 45 minutes. We might go a little bit longer here. Y'all look like y'all chilling. Y'all seem like y'all good, I hope. But let me just talk about trauma, because I think this is key, and I think a lot of people was dealing with this. So trauma locks us in the body into survival mode, activating the primitive responses. So fight and flight is like fight, flight, and freeze is our primitive responses. It's just like an animal. We are like animals. We primitive, but animals shake it off. Like I was saying to Dipo, we can go through something with animals can go through a traumatic situation or a threat, and they will run, and they will, and then when the threat is no longer there, they will shake it off. Like, you ever seen a dog just shake it off after they got scared and stuff, because they getting that out of them. We don't. We never shake it off. We go to bed. We go get in another argument. We just build it up, and it builds up to the point where we crash out or the body shuts down. You feel me? Or it makes the flow of energy going through our body blocked off because we stuck in that survival mode. And the key to and right now, most people are in that survival mode, and they think they hustling, they think they going hard. You know, you hear these alpha things like you sleep when you die. All right, you're gonna be dead if you don't sleep. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna hustle all day. I'm gonna hustle. That was my mindset until I broke down, until I seen somebody die that had two businesses that was doing too much, and then they died in their sleep. You understand what I'm saying? This is how real it is. I talk directly to your soul with this, because I want you to recognize how real this is. You could die. That's how serious it is. But it locks the body, and that's it. That's the end of it. What we came here for, to be stressed out and die? You're gonna be sick here and there, but sick all the time, stressed out all the time, worried all the time, feeling fear all the time. Don't know when you're gonna be homeless. Don't know when your money gonna be there. Don't know when you lose your job. Don't know when the boss gonna be mad. Don't know when the spouse gonna leave you. Whatever. It's a lot to this, but when stuck in survival mode, the body diverts the body energy away from the digestion and immune function. So when you always in it with this trauma, you can't even digest correctly. Your immune system can't even fight off things better. You can get sick, and you're gonna be sick longer than the average person that has a stronger immune system, because they have released their traumas or may not have as many traumas. And it's not your fault. I'm not talking at somebody that's going through a trauma. It's not your fault, but it is our responsibility to regulate it once it has happened, to heal from it, so we can live a fulfilled life and not be a victim of the trauma, especially if somebody put it on you. But The trauma takes away from our creative thinking and problem solving, the connection with others and yourself. You get shut down because you're deregulated. Now, this disrupts the trauma, disrupts the positive thought process, thought patterns, emotional regulation. We talked about the emotional regulation earlier, and in being able to pursue goals. You just don't feel like it. The body becomes a prison of past experiences, unable to fully inhabit the present moment. The only place where manifestation can occur, the present moment. We're not in the present moment when we're stuck in that fight. We're either in the past or the future in those moments. We're not in the now. That's why mindfulness and tapping, we talk about tapping and being in the now and just being right then, holding your breath. When we first started doing breath work, you can't think about nothing else because your breath cut off. You thinking about, oh man, I need to breathe. But then your body starts reacting different. You start getting this wave of calmness comes over you. It's like your body just releases those chemicals and you can feel it. And that's what happens when you were working out too. When we're working out too, those chemicals release. You get in that shower after that, and then you sleep all night because you feel good, like I got a good workout. But to get to the workout, you had to block those thoughts that say you don't need a workout, bro. You don't want to go to the gym. You don't want to do this. But nobody ever regretted working out. Nobody. I don't care if you just lifting your legs up. If you're old and you're lifting your legs up, you just movement. It's movement. It ain't about getting swole no more. It's about movement. And your body being like, oh, okay, we like this. We moving, you know. But just going back to the trauma. So trauma and low vibration, you know, we got to talk about the low vibrations. So chronic fear, shame, and grief lowers your emotional frequency, keeping you in a state of contraction. We talked about that rather than expansion, rather than your arms being open. What you do when you give somebody a hug? Give me a hug, bro. Like you open your arms up. Give me a hug. You know what I'm saying? But when you don't want to hug, you fold it. How they be looking when they mugging, they fold it. You know, that's the tough look. Oh, what's happening? But you open your arms up, man, give me a hug. What's up, bro? You know, so that's the way to think about it. But when the nervous system is deregulated, it creates a form of subconscious sabotage. That's the key right here, the sabotage that comes with it. So when your conscious mind may affirm abundance, but your body is broadcasting scarcity. So we're not in alignment with what we even thinking consciously. That's why affirmations don't always work. That's why just listening to somebody talk about these things don't always work. That's why knowing these things don't always work, because the body like, yeah, right, bruh. You about to spaz out in a few minutes, bruh. We're not regulated. We're not at a state of peace. We're not calm. We're not in the now. We're worried about something else. So the abundance is out of the question. It's out of the question because the body is not correlating with it. Your energy field reflects a conflict. So now we're in a loop. We're in a loop of the same things. We're in the loop of the same thing. We're trying all these things to change. And this is me. This was me until I put the body into it. I'm doing all these things to change my subconscious, but my body ain't right. I'm not eating right. I'm not going outside, grounding myself. I'm not meditating. I'm not doing the breath work. I'm just reading these books and I'm saying affirmations and I'm listening to books. But that's not enough. That's what we're trying to get to here. You can skip all those things. You can almost skip that knowledge and just regulate your nervous system, and you're gonna live a fulfilled life. You don't have to go this deep with it. You can just make sure your nervous system is regulated and how you reacting and being consciously aware of it. But we see it right here: trauma response, flight, run away from the bear, remove self from situation, fight the bear when flight is not an option, verbally or physically attack, freeze, you play dead. All of this is things that animals do in nature, but we do it. We be playing dead when you don't speak up for yourself. You got to lay down and play dead. You just shrinking yourself, right? Yep. Fawn. You talked about fawn. Keep the bear happy. think somebody mentioned that earlier when they said they would rather keep other people happy than yourself. And I'm going to say this to whoever said that. Don't ever do that, because you cannot show up as yourself, your best self, and help another individual. When you regulate yourself, you'll be better parent. You'll be a better son. You'll be a better friend. You'll be all of this when you regulate your nervous system, and you'll show up better to those people. But when you're doing it and you're doing things for other people, and you overwhelmed, and you waking up tired, and we all do this, but you waking up tired and you overwhelmed, and you're trying to feed the children, you're trying to get them to school, you're trying to make sure this person happy, you go into that fawn state. You go in that fawn state where you don't even know if you want to fight or flight or nothing. You're just on autopilot at this point. And it's gonna take you out doing that. It's gonna take you out. Do whatever it takes to avoid things. You start doing things that just avoid it. And then that also builds up a resentment, an inner resentment towards the people that you keep doing these things for. That inner resentment, like they don't even appreciate me. They don't even care that I'm doing this. They don't even, you know what I'm saying? So now you're doing it out of obligation and not out of love. You're doing it out of obligation. We don't want to do it out of obligation. This is your world. This is your response. This is your energy. You want to do it from a place of love, not out of necessity or guilt or these type of things. I hope that made sense there. I hope that made sense. But this is the thing that happens. The state. So Dipo went into this briefly. The polyvagal, and the theory explains how our autonomic nervous system evolved to respond to safety and danger. So the theory is 3 distinct states that determine our capacity for connection, creativity, and manifestation. So ventral vagal, that means to be safe and connected. So the state of safety, connection, and social engagement. Here we can access creativity, compassion, and higher consciousness. This is the optimal state for manifestation when you feel safe. Do this real quick. Do this real quick. Put your hand on your heart and say to yourself, I'm safe right now. Nothing is wrong right now. I'm breathing. I'm here. I'm in this class. I'm doing something positive for myself. And just use your mind's eye to visualize your heart getting big. Use your mind eye to see your aura expanding. Do these type of things, and you'll be in the now. You'll feel safe. Your body like, oh, we good. We can touch our heart. We good. So we must be good right now. And this is the optimal state. You can't go into those higher level of consciousness when your body is in that fight or flight. We can't raise our vibration when we in that fight or flight. We can't go to a higher state of higher consciousness to get these downloads, to be able to flow this energy like this. Like you get cut off from that channel of God. I'm going to say God on that. You get cut off from that channel of God, bringing that insight to you, to have that great idea, to manifest that thing that you want. But when we in the fight or flight, it's that negative thoughts. It's a negative sound like, you can't do that, bro, because this is going to happen. You're going to lose your house if you try to leave that job and do this. You're going to do this. So it's a state of defense. You're in defense. The energy is directed towards surviving. It's directed towards surviving. So that makes anxiety. That makes anger. And then it becomes resentment, and then you become an old person that's mad at the world. Y'all see it, Karen. Y'all see it. These people, nervous system is not regulated. But the mobilized is energy conservation is priority. So the dorsal vagal, which is the freeze and the shutdown, that's when you go into these states of depression. That's when you go into this state of hopelessness and numbness. This when nothing matters. This is even when, I'm gonna keep it real, this is mostly when suicide is brewing up for most people. They don't want to be here anymore. It's your body. It ain't just, you could say to somebody that's depressed, man, just think positive, bro. You're gonna be all right. No, that ain't gonna work, because it's your body. Your body is part of this, and your energy is part of this. And that's why it's so hard to fight against it. But when we feel safe, we go into higher states of consciousness, intuitive guidance, a creative inspiration, authentic connection with others. It's not force, and the ability to receive the abundance that we deserve. Look at all these components of our body, though. Like, you know what I'm saying? This just goes into the energy aspect of it. So the energy trauma creates energetic stagnation. So this the energy. So now we in the energy aspect of it, on top of the chemicals aspect of it, on top of the biological aspect of it, on top of the subconscious aspect of it. The energy in itself is blocked. So if you look at this picture over here, this is our energy meridians going through our body. This is how the energy flows through our body. It's very similar to the nervous system. This is what they use with acupuncture. When you see acupuncture, these are different energy meridians in our body, and they connect it to different aspects. This is how they cure different diseases or figure out what diseases people have based on the activities in their energy meridians. You see here the stomach meridian, it just goes into these different things, the gallbladder. So someone that's doing, they'll be able to know, okay, your small intestines is infected because this is showing up. And you know, westernized society don't really pay attention to these things because they just want to give you the medicine. But if you're looking at it from an energetic standpoint, like it says here, the liver can be a problem because of anger, frustration, and decision making. Boom. You have problems with your liver because you're always mad. Kidney, fear and anxiety, and adrenal fatigue. The heart meridian block, emotional pain, disconnection, lack of joy. The lung meridian, the lungs so important. Grief, respiratory, and difficulty letting go. What people do when they can't breathe? Oh no, look what a person do. They do you doing it subconsciously. What they do, they grab their heart, or they having a heart attack. What Fred Sanford did, you know what I'm saying? Like the lungs and stuff like that. Or so when you aggravated somebody, will say, calm down, take a breath, bro. Take a breath, step outside. Y'all heard all these things because it's gonna calm you down. But breath work happens with this, sound healing helps with this. Manifestation basically requires regulation. That's what the basis of this was. We were talking about you don't manifest what you want, you manifest it from your nervous system state. You manifest from your nervous system state. The law of resonance operates through your body's electromagnetic field, which is directly influenced by the autonomic nervous system. When your body feels unsafe, it broadcasts contraction rather than expansion, scarcity rather than abundance, separation rather than connection, protection rather than creation. Let's repeat that. When the body feels unsafe, it makes contraction rather than expansion, scarcity rather than abundance, separation rather than connection, and protection rather than creation. So a calm, regulated body, it emits higher frequencies, the higher emotions. We talked about this, and we also talked about the chemical aspect of what's happening. We're not talking about no woo-woo, just no metaphysical theories. We talking about what happens when you feeling these high emotions biologically and physiologically, and we're talking about it psychologically, and we're talking about it spiritually. So healing trauma allows manifestations to land in a safe, fertile body. When your nervous system feels safe, you can receive without resistance. You trust in divine timing. You okay. You good. You embody the frequency of your desires and you align with the universal flow. And these are the ways right here to basically regulate and shift your frequency when it comes to this. We talked about these things. So deep, slow, diaphragmatic breathing, 6 breaths per minute. We might bring that up at the end just to kind of go back over that so you guys can understand now that we have a deeper understanding why we kept talking about the breath and these things like that. So you can hum, chanting or singing, humming, do this. That's the natural sound of the earth. But when you do that, that also calms you down. Putting your hand on your heart, you're in a safe place. Your body say, okay, we good. We over here humming. We singing. We happy. You know, so these things, that's why chanting works. That's why you build the energy up when they go do these rituals and things. Everything is tying hand in hand together. They meditate in rituals. They sing in rituals. They do deep breathing and things like that. They chant, because these are all components that take you to higher states of consciousness. I hope that made sense. Hope that
It
makes
does.
sense. Okay. Okay. But affirm safety first. So basically, I'm safe in my body right now. My nervous system is calm and regulated. I'm supported by earth beneath me, and I'm worthy of peace and well-being. So consistently doing this, consistently saying these things to yourself. Someone said they did humming yesterday and it helped so much in a difficult situation. We might think we're losing our minds, but we're not. We're actually activating parts of ourselves to make us feel better after we do it. Humming, who would have thought? Humming your favorite song. Why people, when they working, they humming. You know, the old folks, my granddaddy and stuff like that, they hum songs while they working on the cars and things like that. They locked in. They in flow state. They might not know what they're doing, but they in flow state. You turn on the music and then you do your work, you in flow state. That's why I put that music behind this. Your subconscious picking that up. Okay, now so that's how you integrate it. The nervous system and energy center speaks the same language. They are different frameworks describing the same fundamental truth about human experience. When we integrate through these perspectives, we gain a more complete understanding how trauma affects us on a multiple levels, why healing must address both biology and energy, and how our physical state influences our spiritual connection. The power to embody these practices can transform your consciousness. Now we're talking this metaphysical talk, but we got to get the regulated system correct. Dipo, you want to add anything about the trauma? And then we're gonna go after that. We're gonna go into the psychic powers in the nervous system. And this is real, this is kind of deep right here, but I hope I'll be able to explain it to you the best I can with that. But yeah.
I mean, one thought that comes up is that we get in trouble as humans when energy gets stuck in the body. And so, you know, the body is an incredible, incredible organism. And it is a self-healing organism. It wants to heal, but we need to give it the right stimulus and the right amount of stimulus to do so. And it can't really heal if things aren't moving in the body. If things are stuck, I mean, your engine doesn't run well if the gas doesn't get to where it needs to get to, and the oil isn't working effectively, right? So if we can stimulate the body in a way that allows energy and allows blood and allows nutrients to flow to the places that they need to, and allows us to discharge the energy that we need to, it puts us in a position where we can take care of business more effectively, where we are more resourced to handle life situations, where we have more of those neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine and adrenaline and oxytocin and all of these things. They are available and online enough for us to come on when we need them. You know, this work, it's not easy, but it is absolutely worth it. And another thought that came up around this stuff is that for me, and you guys may already have this recognition and, you know, the courage around this stuff, but it takes a certain amount of courage to say, I'm going to step outside of the societal and cultural norms in order to take care of myself. Whether that means going out into the grass and standing there barefoot and staring up into the sun, which I do every day. How others are perceiving that, I do not know. It's not my business. I know that this work, is going to help me heal and is going to help optimize myself as a human being. The regular standard culture of America is that of sickness. It is not of health.
Yeah. And I wanted to build on that. What you? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you good, but that's what it is. So
that is key right there. That's a key part that I didn't even think about. Like being able to be strong enough to show up like this. Because you go outside, like you just said, you go outside. Like I go outside in the morning, I'm almost certain my neighbors probably think I'm losing my mind, but I try to play it off. I bring the dog out there, like I'm walking the dog or something. But really, I'm out there trying to get some sun gaze and probably looking crazy. But it's crazy that the natural things is the craziness.
Yeah.
It's crazy that meditating outside is the craziness.
Yes.
Nobody watching me while I'm around, and it's
So
funny.
you
Against my
good.
expectation. Yeah, because you let's say you go to the park and you like, oh, I don't want to sit out here in the middle of the ground right here because other people gonna look at me. But we got to get past that because this is the way. This like you always say, this is the way in society norms and society building up to it more. Let's be positive now. Let's be positive. So society is showing this more because people are tired. People are wore out. People know that this is not the way it's supposed to be, and then they pushing it to the limit. We was all right when the bills wasn't that bad. You could put us to sleep. Now you pressing on the gas on us and you holding it while we wore out. Man, we was already doing bad. We was already doing bad, but we was able to be like, okay, now you have to look for these alternative ways to heal yourself. You're not going to find it at church. Even if you go to church, you might find a little bit of relief, but it's not going to talk about the body. You're going to eat bad food right after that. You're not going to, the preacher probably fat himself. I'm just being real. And that's why I had to change the way I looked. I gained when Dipo met me, I was 50 pounds more, maybe about 30 pounds more, something like that. I had a thick neck and all these things, but I changed I was able to do it psychologically. I was able to change how I looked and even change my weight and my skin color and the glow and all these things come with this because your body reacting to it. But yeah, but they will but going against the society norms is the hardest part because people will laugh at you. You drinking water all the time, bro? Or you doing this all the time? You a vegan now? You a Muslim? So but
absolutely
having that power to show up, that was a key point right there, Dipo. Like having the power to show up, going outside dancing. Like you be doing out there, like going out there to dance in a park. A big black dude out there dancing. And you know what I'm saying? They probably like, what is he on? But you're going to realize most people going to respect it. And then most people probably going to even say, man, I wish I could do that. And then they're going to follow suit because people playing that like they good. They not good. They not good. People not good. You can play it off. You're not good. But it's showing up in other ways. And we can see
I think the dancing for me is about expression and about creativity and about fighting against those social constructs that keep us trapped and suffocate us. I mean, for our ancestors to build a fire and dance around it all night long was ritual. I mean, it was practice. That's how we connected to our ancestors. That's how we connected to the earth. Now we don't do those things, because why? I don't know. We're preoccupied.
What they say? It almost they demonized it.
Yeah.
They demonized energy. They demonized energy centers.
Yeah.
They demonized ritual. They demonized meditation and these different type of practices. It got demonized. Everything that we probably need got demonized. Don't look at the sun, bro. Don't do these things like this. No, I'm finna look at the sun. Don't go outside all day. No, I'm about to go outside. My skin is okay. My skin is here for that. I'm not an alien. Like someone said, they said you become an alien to this planet that was made that you were once terrestrial to. You become Yeah, you become an alien to Earth following that system. That's why we sick. That's why that's why the Earth going against us right now. We become an alien to the natural components that we came here with. That's why your breath can change your consciousness. That's why the sun can charge you up. That's why the negative ion from the water can calm you down. That's why flowing water calms us down. That's why drinking water changes your energy. That's why all these things happen, because we was already made for a human experience. But if a program gets put on top of that human experience, the natural way of living becomes the thing that's crazy.
Yes.
The natural way of living becomes the crazy people.
Yep.
So if somebody call you crazy in this society, it's a good thing, because really what everybody doing is crazy. So if I'm crazy, I might be on to something here. Not mental health issues now. Don't get too beside yourself, but you know what I mean. Yeah. But let's keep building though. Let's keep going. Empaths don't it? Somebody got a good question. Look like, how do you distinguish between past trauma and your intuition? That's a good one. I read somewhere that empaths don't exist. You're just responding to past trauma. What are your thoughts on this? That's good. That's good. That's good stuff there. It comes with a feeling. It comes with a feeling and an understanding, like we were talking about. It comes with an awareness of the different ways your body feels. So with me, intuition feels good. Intuition is flow. Intuition will have a different reaction because it's chemical too. You know, we talked about that before. It's chemical. So the way that you feel during those times is a way to determine what you're reacting from. It's hard to tell. It is hard to tell, like, am I tripping right now, or is this person a threat? It's hard to tell that. But that's that inner journey. That's the working with yourself. That's where the meditation comes in. You'll start being able to distinguish the different voices and the different triggers that you have and the different ways your body reacts once you get more in tune with steady feeling, that intuition. You will start to know the cues of, oh, this is my intuition telling me this. I should move on this. Oh, this is trauma because I know this feeling right here, what this is. My palms sweat. I'm over anxious. I can barely breathe. You know what I'm saying? These are things like that. You want to add to that though, Dipo, if you want to, because it's kind of hard to tell that because it's a feeling.
I think discernment, I mean, is the word that shows up there, and that takes time and analysis of just kind of working with yourself and seeing, you know, is this some stuff from my past and past trauma showing up that are influencing how I'm perceiving this experience or this person, or is this a intuitive kind of download or insight that I'm getting about this current perspective? I think that takes time. I think that takes introspection and awareness. And so spending time with ourselves, by ourselves, in meditation and introspection and mindfulness can help assess where those things are coming from. I think sometimes we would like it to be like in real time and instant of knowing, okay, that this person isn't right for me, or this is.
Yeah.
But sometimes removing myself from a situation helps me gain more perspective on what is actually showing up there. I think giving ourselves space for challenging situations is one of the best things that we can do, but sometimes it's hard because our society doesn't give us a lot of time for that space to gain clarity.
Yeah. And you hit it right on the head where you say it, and I know that might not be the best answer, but for you with it, because like we say, it takes time, because this is work. Like, this is really work. Like, this is it is no magic formula to this. None. This is a day-to-day, moment by moment, reaction by reaction. The only person you're going to be with for the rest of your life is yourself. So it's best to know yourself. And know how your body reacts to things. And they always say your nervous system will feel relaxed around the people that you're supposed to be around. You'll feel relaxed. You'll take your shoes off. You'll lean back and be vulnerable, and you'll say things that you normally wouldn't say because you're relaxed and you're comfortable. Now, sometimes we misread it. Sometimes people put up a facade or a mask. That's life. That's the human experience. But when we are always constantly blocked off from our intuition and blocked off from the trauma, blocked off because of trauma, or not regulated because our nervous system, that's when it becomes a problem. That's when it becomes physical. That's when it becomes disease. That's when it becomes losing relationships, losing jobs, losing people, snapping, crashing out, going to jail. Check it out now, going to jail. Society ready for they make your system deregulated, then they can put you in jail when you like that, or put you in the mental hospital when you can't keep it together. You going in the midst of mental hospital right behind my house, right? It's called Serenity. It's called Serenity. That's how close I am to the psych ward, y'all. And it's right behind my house. I always think about that. And I think about that as people in there that probably just couldn't regulate their nervous system and wasn't understood and went through a traumatic situation so bad that they lost a clean disconnection to themselves and to their own power. And then they go there and they sedate you for 3 days and give you some pills. Now, if we go even further, you stay in that lower nature long enough. Now, this is where we go into the metaphysics. You create an egregor or a demon or a thought form that is literally taking over your life. That's where those spirits come in. That's where they say, I see other spirits. I'm seeing things. Or I saw this dark shadow and these things. This thing can become they call it a egregor. This thing can become something that follows you. That's why it's good to clear your energy, clear your thought forms. You're creating thought forms and we're creating entities. We talked about that last time. So this entity is over you, keeping you in a state of fear, keeping you in a state of worry, keeping you in a state like that because you don't have no power to fight against it. But you can make that same entity work for you. Go out there and do my bidding, manifest what I want to manifest. Who you think you are coming in here? But it's only you. It's a combination of your thoughts. And then we have a collective of egregor that we're fighting as well. So it's many levels to this, my people. It's many levels to this. But yeah, so trauma being stuck, never releasing it through the movement, like you said, when energy gets stuck in your body, you never moving it. You don't learn these techniques, you don't learn these practices, you're not doing these things daily. It builds up to the point where it can be so bad that you think you possess. And that's where a lot of these things come from. That's where the metaphysics come in, that of people being possessed and overwhelmed because they went through something so traumatic, they disconnected from their soul with that, they never brought it back, piece of their soul missing. They can't get past this, the energy stuck in their body. Then they start reiterating it with their perspective, and more people show up to make sure that does it. Then you get into a relationship, the man beats you, they leave you, whatever it may be. Now it look like Earth is just unbelievably unmatched to be able to leave. And next thing you know, you at serenity. And next thing you know, you're disembodied and disconnected, and it seems like an entity is over you, and people become possessed. And that's when people become killers. That's when people become numb to bad things that they do. And I know I'm going further with it, but I'm just keeping it real here. People become numb. People become numb to reality because they so far unregulated. But let's keep going though. I don't want to go too far in that because we only got 10 minutes and I'm talking about nervous system and psychic powers. But I guess that's a good build up for it though. Hope y'all can stick around. We can stay another hour if y'all can or whatever. I'm just gonna keep going. I hope you can stick around. How everybody doing over there? It don't feel like it's been 3 hours. I don't know about y'all. I hope y'all doing good because Dipo, it feel like 3 hours to you because it don't to me.
Nah, bro, the time flows when we have these kind of conversations and connections.
That's the truth.
That's dope.
And that's another thing when you're doing things like that, like you regulate. That's a regulation. Time flies when we at work doing something we hate. Time going slow. 3 hours would have never went this fast at work, but it's just sage, y'all. It's just sage. Oh, can we have a short break to use the bathroom? If you want to, go ahead and go to the restroom. Because I know I'm going in right now. I know I'm going in. If you want to take a little quick break, go ahead. If you want to drink some water, step away. That's cool. If you want to stretch a bit, because I'm gonna go into the psychic power. I think I'm gonna take another hour with it. If y'all cool with that, let me know if y'all cool with that. If not, you can catch the replay. Dipo, you cool with that for a little bit of time?
Yeah, I got a little more time, and then I might have to bounce out for a second, but
Yeah.
I'm with you. You know, I'm with you.
And somebody say I've been in fight or flight most of my life. Yeah,
I was
okay.
just reading that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, we ain't gonna say too much longer though. I just wanted to kind of just make sure I give y'all some techniques that you can leave with. And also you'll have a you're gonna get a workbook. I got a fire workbook for y'all that y'all can use yourself, digital workbook, got an ebook. And then you'll get the recording with the YouTube. I'm gonna send that to you too as well, Dipo. But you got all these things that you can use after this class. And if you got questions, follow Dipo there with his. You got some questions for me, you know where you know where you can find me, you know where I'm at. But I think I'm gonna start. If you're at the bathroom, you know, when you get back, you'll be right there on it. I'm gonna go too deep into it, but I want to just kind of keep it going, y'all. I appreciate y'all once again. I appreciate everybody donating. I appreciate everybody, even if it was $1 to $2. I appreciate that. Appreciate your time, Dipo, for being here with us too. Adding on to it, you really did build up to the class. I'm pretty sure the class appreciates you too. But let's go here, mind and body. So this book I found like 3 days ago. It's called Somo. It's by goodness. It's called by Frank R. Young. Frank Randolph Young. Somo. Let me go back because this ain't the name of it right there. But it's Somo. Oh, what did I have? Hold on, my bad, y'all. I want to make sure I got this for y'all. Frank Randolph. Well, Frank Randolph's dang, I can't figure it out right here. Let me see. And he's the same one that wrote he also wrote a book called Cyclomancy. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that, but cyclomancy is basically like it just goes into using your psychic powers to create things in your reality, different things like that. But the main thing I like about him and his authorship is that he was originally, and I just found this out too, by the way. It's called Sumo Psychic Power Using Its Miracle Force for a Desired Life. This book is fire. This book is fire. I'm gonna send it to you. I got like an old PDF. It's kind of hard to read, but I'm gonna send it to you all with that. But this is just kind of going over the nervous system aspect of it. And what he goes into, he was originally a trainer. See, Dipo, he was a trainer.
No
And he writes with the biology, but he also writes with the metaphysics into this. So I was like, dang, this is hand in hand with what we talking about. This is hand in hand. He talk about in the book his techniques, how to look younger, how to lose weight, how to attract abundance, all these different things, but he's using the biology with it. Not just saying, oh, you can look younger if you raise your vibration. No, he's talking about nerve tension. He's talking about these different aspects of adrenaline being released and how to release it and these different techniques. We can't go into it all here, of course, but I'm going to go into it to give you an overview of what I got out of it just from this part. I put psychic powers in there because they talk about psychic powers throughout the book. We're not going to go too far into it, but we're going to show you, like I was saying earlier, when we run at our highest level, we have abilities. When we get out of fight or flight, we have abilities, natural abilities that we came here with, that we got programmed out of being able to have. That makes sense. And the main reason is because the nervous system is not regulated. You don't have that clear channel any longer when you're in a fight or flight. We ain't worried about the meaning of life when you're trying to survive life. That makes sense. We worry about the meaning of life or the abilities that we have of life when we're just trying to survive life. And that's the worst existence ever. But that's what they want us to be at, just surviving life. Okay, but the mind, body, and power connection. You think and feel not with your brain alone, but with your muscles. If I'm saying this wrong, forgive me. I'm from Augusta, Georgia. I'm from deep south, so if I can't say these words, forgive me. Viscera, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system in your glands. Notice what he said. You think, feel, and not with your brain alone, but with your muscles, your viscera, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. That's what we've been talking about all night, y'all. Don't let the big words fool you. This is what we've been talking about all night, in your glands. So psychic ability arises from a full body system. Nerves, organs, and glands all send energy signals that influence thoughts and perception. This integrated network forms the foundation of psychic potential. As you can see, meridians, your sacral nerves, all of these different aspects of your nervous system. If you injure your spinal cord, you can literally, like, your brain can stop working. Just think about how much your spinal cord and your vertebrae and your different components tie into these. Look at all these things that tie together when you look at the body. Look at all these things that tie together and how it flows through us. That's just an illustration, of course. It's a whole nother level when you see the real thing. But the psychic role of our glands, the pineal gland, the hypothalamus gland, the pituitary gland, the thyroid gland, the thymus, all these glands, the testes, all of these glands in us. We never really think about these aspects of ourselves. We kind of just keep moving. But glands like the thyroid, adrenals, and pineal boost psychic sensitivity by regulating the body's energy systems and neural conductivity. The neural pathways, creating neural pathways, the way that our brain sparks the electricity within us based on our health and our nervous system. Iodine from the thyroid and the adrenaline increase the brain's electrical conductivity, faster thoughts, sharper perception. We talked about that, right? So iodine from the thyroid and the adrenaline increase the brain's electrical conductivity, faster thoughts, and sharper perception. You faster, you sharper, you can downloads, you can think better, you can think clear, you're more creative, you can come up with an idea, you can figure out a way out of that situation, you could problem solve better. This is psychic abilities. It might sound simple, but those are psychic abilities when you tuned in like that. These glandular secretions create the biochemical foundation for heightened awareness and psychic receptivity, allowing the nervous system to process subtle energetic information. Let's talk about that for a moment. Let's talk about that for a moment. The heightened awareness and psychic receptivity, allowing the nervous system to process subtle energetic cues. That goes back to, like, kind of like what you were saying about the intuition. Those energetic cues, you can pick them up better when you're at a heightened, when you're at your nervous system is regulated, when your glands is regulated, when you're releasing a certain kind of chemicals. And when my intuition perceives the dark about someone, I need to try to calm down. Will ideas arise from somewhere? That's the idea. And when my intuition perceives something dark about someone, I need to try and calm down. I don't know. Sometimes you might have to go into fight mode. Now, we're not saying like we don't need to fight now. I want to make sure we got that clear now. It's there for a reason. You fight, flight, or freeze. Now, sometimes you're supposed to be fighting. You're supposed to release that adrenaline. You might have to protect yourself, but constantly being in it is the main thing. So if somebody is like, so if you feel something dark about somebody, yeah, get away from them. Or, if you feel that energy, yeah, make sure you protect yourself. I will swing on somebody if it's necessary. I'm gonna have no problem working out to swing and grab somebody too now. You know what I'm saying? I will protect my body. And so it's like, it's just knowing when. That's why Kung Fu people,
monks?
Yeah, monks. Not only monks, but I'm more so like warriors. Monks kind of like just in the mountains somewhere. I'm talking about that warrior. I'm talking about Bruce Lee that's meditating, and then he'll kick you in your head. That's what I'm talking about.
Come on, G.
And he'll shake the trauma off later.
Yo,
I'll shake the trauma off later. I'll kick you in your head, bro. If you come with if you trying to mess up my regulation system, I will dump you in here. I ain't playing. I will get mad enough where I will pump this adrenaline and slam you on your neck. I'm just being honest. Like, that's part of it too, y'all. Like, don't get this twisted. We both over here. I'm pretty sure Dipo grab you. It's a wrap. But this man been calm the whole time, though. So think about how he know how to regulate his emotions so he don't grab somebody. You see what I'm saying? No, we kicking people in the head over here, y'all. We ain't bowing down either now.
Protect yourself at all times.
Yeah, protect yourself. That's survival mode too now. That's survival. That's universal law 1. That's why some animals fight to keep themselves alive. They can't run no more. The deer gotta fight the lion. Maybe I might get out. So
you never know.
When you feel that dark energy, get it away from you now, because you could be picking up. It could be your energetic nature, especially if you were already calm and then your nervous system get overwhelmed. That's a good cue. But I appreciate you asking that though. But where we were at, we were still talking about the psychic role in the glands. Now, this the part that was so interesting to me with the book. He goes into 4 intra-tensions. That's what they call them, intra-tensions, hidden energy blocks. Let me see. Yeah, yes. Make sure you learn how to box too. We boxing too. We learning how to box too. we ain't getting jumped. No, sir, buddy. I can fight. I'm fighting, but I'm not trying to fight every day. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to fight every day, but I am willing to fight. But okay, so this part right here that he went into, let me move this over here so y'all can see this. I'm gonna kind of read off of this because I don't know it to the T, but we got 4 intra-tensions. 4 intra-tensions right here. Let's talk about this real briefly and real quick. We fighting martial arts. So yeah, we learning martial arts out here. We meditate in. The warrior is ready. But okay, so Frank Randolph Young, psychic power, emphasized that the mind and body, especially the nervous system and glands, work together to produce psychic and hidden abilities. Young asserts that we do not think or feel with the brain alone. The entire nervous system and even organs contribute to our mental and physical state. In his words, you, like we said before, you think with and feel not with your brain alone, but with your muscles, your sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system, and last but not least, your glands. Your glands. These physical components, nerves, muscles, organs, and glands, constantly send signals that influence thoughts and feelings. For example, from your stomach and intestines. Let me see if I can put this up here for y'all. You probably can't read that, but I want to be able to see y'all kind of like and see what I'm looking like. This is the first part that I just read. We right here. These physical components, nerves, organs, glands, constantly send signals that influence our body. From your stomach and intestines, your kidneys and bladder, your liver and spleen, your blood vessels, and your glands, they flow along your sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves to and from your brain, energies or various sorts and intestines, which continually change your state, putting you into different moods or humors. That's basically what we talked about earlier. I know that was a little bit more technical, but it just kind of tells you like these different moods we feel have a different nature to how our body is reacting to these things, and it's sending these energies out. In short, the nervous system is the medium for sumo psychic power by altering nerve systems through biochemical or mental means. One can enhance your perception, your reaction, and other abilities that appear psychic. Young even suggests that the balance of the autonomic nervous system, we talked about this. Now, this might have to be the next class where we go a little bit further into this because this is a lot. But you got these ideas of these things based on what we talked about so far. So the balance of the autonomic nervous system, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, influenced by glands, is what causes different temperaments or on versus off days. On versus off days. He notes that the adrenal and thyroid hormones can push one into a predominantly sympathetic nervous system type or predominantly a parasympathetic. We talked about that already as well. But so basically he started talking about the nerve systems and the nerves. So a key concept in Jung's system is the latent power or latent powers. We talked about this are suppressed by internal stresses he calls intra-tensions, essentially devastating internal tensions that keep your hidden power bottled up in you. We unlocking some right here, y'all. We unlocking some. We talked about all of this before, but now we're unlocking what's going to come next once you start doing this. Your power, your abilities, because you're getting all of that gunk out of the way. You're getting all of that tension out of the way. You're getting all of these things that block those powers that's bottled up. He identifies four categories of intra-tension, chronic tension in different physiological systems that drain or block our innate psychic energy. Innate. In Jung words, these four intra-tensions are your, like I said, sorry if I say it wrong, your visceral, VISCERAL intra-tension, your muscle intra-tension, your nerve space intra-tension, and your gland intra-tension. So where's that slide showing? What a slide. Okay, so the intra-tension is your stress in organs. This is the stress that gets Dipo talked about it. When you blocked, when the energy not moving, when it's blocked and stress, and this comes from stress, this comes from trauma, this comes from these things. So you have stress in your organs, your gut, your bladder, your heart. All of this is energy nature too. So each of these have an energetic connection when it goes into like the chakras. You know, we talked about that. So the nerve space intra, overcharged nervous energy stored in the synapses. You're not even firing off right. It's overstimulated, it's overcharged, it's malfunctioning basically. And then muscle intratension, which is residual nerve energy causing unconscious muscle tension. Then gland intratension. This is hormonal buildup creating nervous system imbalance. Okay, I know that's a lot, y'all. I hope I ain't lose nobody with that. But these are the energetic blocks that can come up. Notice the word tension. You can have tension in your organs, tension in your synapses, tension in your muscles, and tension in your glands. Your nervous system not regulated. Going back to that disease that we talked about. Now, I want to just break down that different aspect of it so we do understand what Frank was talking about. Let's see what Frank was really meaning by that. So each corresponds to the body system where the energy or tension can build up and hinder the free flow of sumo psychic power. Below are these categories and how Jung defines them. Visceral intratension. This refers to tension in involuntary. We talked about that already. This refers to the tension in involuntary muscle and organs, such as the stomach, intestines, heart, blood vessel. Jung reminds us that these organs are the oldest seats of thinking and feeling in evolutionary terms. They constantly send inner currents of nerve signals that underlie our mood and instincts. Normally, much of this organ activity operates below consciousness. So you're not even aware of you don't have to think about the blood running through your body, but you might have a block that's making it not run properly. And this can be energetic in nature. But this happens, but when it becomes excessive, it creates intra-tension that can force itself into awareness. For example, stress can raise the tone in organs like the gut or the bladder, producing nagging sensations. Young notes when intra-tension is strong enough, you become aware of your organs. That's what we talked about earlier. When you become aware of your organs, they call it body regulation, or when you meditate, scanning the body. You're aware of
Yes.
your body, scanning the body. That's the word I was looking for, scanning the body. So you're aware of your organs. In short, visceral intratension is the pent up stress in your internal organs and the autonomic nerves that can disturb your emotional calm and concentration. It is one of the hidden tensions that can undermine psychic power. Then he went on to the nerve space intratension. So this is Jung's term for accumulated nervous energy in the nervous themselves, in the nerves themselves, consistently being anxious. You got to be in a state of calmness to be a psychic, to pick up downloads, to pick up energy. You got to be in a state of calmness when you want to download information, when you want to pick up energies, when you want to use your intuition stronger. You have to be in a it's a component of the nervous system running properly. Now, so the nervous energy in the nerves themselves, every stress or obstacle in life triggers nerve signals to prepare for the fight or flight response. If those signals are mild or we suppress the reaction, the nervous energy doesn't vanish. Jung claims it gets stored in spaces between nerve cells. The synapses as packets of potential energy. I wish I could picture this. I wish I had a picture of this. But we have things blocked in, we have pockets of energy stuck in our back. Your back can be hurting, lower back problems, different. That's how they tell what injury you had, different vertebrae and things like that. And in between that, you can have disorder. You can have disorder in between that. So the nervous energy doesn't simply vanish. Okay, and over time, the unrelieved stresses lead to a buildup of these charged nerve packets along the neural pathways. So it's basically blocked. It's blocked. And in order to channel, in order to get any information, they hook people up that's channeling. They know that their brainwave state is in a calm state. It's in a calm state when they're channeling. They can read their brain waves. So that's one aspect of it. Hold on, where was I at? Dipo, you want to build on that a little bit? You got anything for that?
Yeah, a couple things pop up.
Yep.
One is an exercise that we can all try right here. And I use this exercise as a way of conceptualizing how we are energetic beings and how our energy projects outside of our bodies, right? So when you're talking about energy flowing through the system, and in times of where we are in that fight or flight mode, it doesn't flow very effectively, and there's buildup and there's blockages, 1,000%. And I think it's also good to recognize what the counter to that is, what the other side of that coin can look like. So one thing that we can try is just holding up your hand, and you can point your finger in the middle of your palm, and you can draw a circle kind of in the middle of your palm. And you can start close and then bring it farther. But you may start to notice a sensation in your palm, in the middle of your palm. So you can go farther, and you can still feel that sensation in the middle of your palm. I can. And farther and farther. So it's just a drill or a practice or a way to conceptualize how energy flows through our system. And when we get clear, we pick up more information. And this can be part of that intuition. This can be part of the downloads, and what is felt in community when we are with other people. We can pick up on this information more. And it takes time to discern, well, you know, what am I sensing? What am I feeling? What kind of senses am I tapping into? But it's felt. And I know in times where I've been really clear before. I remember I went to the beach here in Texas, and there was something about the salt air and being on the beach that I felt like I had no inflammation in my body, and I could just feel the energy just flowing through my body. And I was like, man, it was a trip, man. When when we can tap into that space of sensing and feeling at a pretty deep level. So hence the movement and the hydration and the grounding and the yoga and even the sweating. I think sweating is really good for us. Helps us get clearer so that we can take in more information from everywhere, from above, from our environment, from our body, from other people. There's no question that what Ricky is talking about when these concepts of that they have merit. I mean, this is how I experience life in this realm of that's how we all experience it. But yeah. Some feel really deeply. We all, if you're here, I imagine that you do feel really deeply. Right?
No doubt. No doubt.
And so how do we make sense out of all of it? How do we find space from the noise in our mind so that we can take in more information from other places than just the thinking ego mind that is the normal course of action that we come to. The other thing I'm going to bring up, which I'm almost scared to because I don't want to seem crazy or something, but it's just a practice that I've grown into, is this kind of pendulum thing that I will use. So I have this on my coffee table, and I'll do some work at the table. In times where energy is flowing really well through my body, this piece of paper will move. And in times when it's not, it won't move. And so to me, I just use it as a tool of recognizing, well, really a few reasons. One of just practicing awareness and meditative awareness and presence. And another of just kind of recognizing what could be potentially showing up in my body, right? So when we talk about psychic abilities, we're talking about telekinesis, we could be talking about telepathy, we could be talking about clairvoyance, we could be talking about, there's some other ones out there. And I'm a firm believer that we are capable of all of those things if we can find the right space in the body. And so I'm right there with you, Rick, on using the body and gaining clarity around some of these things so that we can optimize ourselves and we can tap into some of those abilities when we regulate the nervous system.
Damn.
So we are energetic beings, and the clearer that we can get, the better that we can transmit energy.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's exactly what all of this was built up to, was showing like how powerful you can be when you're not in that fight or flight, when we exiting survival mode, when we regulating our emotions, when we're paying attention to our emotions, when we're paying attention to our body. I hope everything that we've talked about don't get lost too much into the wordplay, like I was just that they're using, because it's all saying the same type of things. It can all be very simple if we regulate our nervous system. But This information is so helpful. Thank you, Heather. Yeah, we trying to. I feel like we didn't laid it down pretty much for the most part of it. I was still just kind of briefly. I'm gonna go back to this part here.
Something else comes up here too is that,
Yeah,
you know, I've talked to Rick about his journey, and you know, the part of the journey of getting to where he's at now and working on his body, and you know, the progress that you've made and the way that you've really embodied this work is inspiring. It's just it's clear that you have a lived experience around this stuff, and I think that's extremely powerful. That we can change as humans, that we can put in the work on a consistent basis, and we can show up differently and make tangible change in our lives. And as it changes internally, it will be reflected externally. And so I just, you know, I want to recognize that, and that I've seen your journey through this, and there's no question that you've lived it, that you are living it.
that's right. Yeah, and that's real. That's real because I was overstimulated. I was on the edge. I was about to crash out. And even to this day, I still have my times, but I know how to get back right. And I know how to embody it. And I know how to make it sound street. I know how to make it sound practical. I know how to make it sound scientific. So I put the science here. That's why the class is here more so more so when we have the videos, you know, they're much smaller and things like that, and we can't go as deep. So that's why the classes is here, to show that I can teach and not just preaching it. And the reason why I can teach it is because I'm getting the knowledge and I'm also living this. Like, this is my daily, day-to-day information. And when I teach it to y'all, I get a reminder to go harder. So that's the thing. So we both learning while I'm teaching this to y'all. But this information can change your life. And with the working out part, I thought it was just to look better. And come to find out, that was the missing element, was my nervous system. Was my thoughts. Like, my thoughts good, but my nervous system still, I had to be honest with myself with that shadow work, what's coming up. And you can't go but so far when you about to crash out, or you in fight or flight or survival mode. But I'm gonna finish it up here, you guys, with this part here. I'm gonna try and go through this real quick. But the next one he was talking about was basically like he was talking about the glands here. So the gland tension. This is the tension between endocrine glands, caused by accumulated unused hormones. Jung describes how our glands often oversecrete under stress, even if we don't physically act on it. The excess hormones get held in tiny storage sacs within the glands called Assini. Daily life's endless stresses and obstacles triggers extra spurts of hormones that are suppressed. Since we can't always fight or flee, which stretches the gland storage sacs and creates pressure. At times of stress, your endocrine glands spasmodically add a little more secretion to their Ancini than necessary. This stretches the walls of your glands and different things like that. I don't want to go too far. We ain't got enough time to go into the science of it. But basically, just this was just the message of it. How controlling nerve tension unlocks psychic development. Jung's core idea is that by removing or consciously controlling these interest tensions, especially the nerve space tension, you can unbottle immense psychic and physical powers. The presence of intra-tensions is what causes our off days in moments of self-sabotage, whereas eliminating them gives us on days of peak ability. He describes that accumulation of hidden tension can trigger stress reflex that throws you off your game, on and off your on your off days. You are rendered, okay, hold on now. In other words, the buildup of nerve tension produces a mild fight or flight state.
that we might not fully notice, but which undermines our higher abilities. This is why you might suddenly lose your confidence or get stage fright out of nowhere. See, we talked about this. Your suppressed tensions finally overflow, causing your body to react as if it's under threat. Jung even cites a medical definition of a latent reflex to explain this, noting that it kicks in when some pathological circumstances sufficiently lowers your resistance without a recognizable illness or a threat, basically. The good news, according to Somo Psychic Powers, is that if you can release or master these tension, the magic of your intrinsic psychic power returns. Jung writes empathetically that once you free yourself from these four self-powered destroyers, your instinctive sumo psychic power let loose and the full magic can happen. In practical terms, reducing nerve space intertension stops the constant drain or disruption of your nervous system, allowing you to channel that energy into extraordinary abilities. The previously bottled up power packets of nerve energy can then be used at will, then misfiring as anxiety or fatigue. Jung explains that with even one of these tensions, you are the helpless victim either to too much or too little energy in your mind or body. That's the gist of it. We already talked about that. That pretty much goes into like you blocking your energy when your nervous system is not regulated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna send y'all this so we can go into that further. We at 9:30. I don't want to hold y'all up too much further. I wanna just leave you with exercise you can do, a couple of exercises, some breath work exercises, and then we'll end this thing so we won't so we won't so we won't just push it too far. I see some people then dipped out, but it will Dipo, you want to say anything before we go into that?
Thank you. Straight up, bro. You know what I mean?
Appreciate it.
Community is so important, and connection is important, and I'm grateful to be able to connect with you guys. That Rick, that you asked me to show up and share, you know, my experiences with some of this work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, that's really it. And you know, when we talk about the work, it won't be perfect every day. But you know, there are some days that you may miss some of your practices, but taking the time to figure out which of the things that we've talked about or that you already have in your wheelhouse, because that you already have in your wheelhouse, are working and are effective for you. Being as diligent with those things as possible, even when there are times where it may seem like, what's the point? It's not working. Fuck it. Whatever the mind tells you to try to trick you out of doing the thing that you know is going to help you be better. But keep showing up for yourself. It pays off. Sometimes it might be day one. Sometimes it might be day 100. But just to keep showing up for ourselves. And in doing so, sometimes we don't realize how many people we can inspire, how many people we can impact by just, it's not even that we have to talk about it all the time, but it can be felt, it can be seen, and it encourages other people to do the same. When we shine our light authentically, it encourages others to do the same. And so keep shining.
No doubt, no doubt. Appreciate that, Dipo. And yeah, that's the main thing. And hopefully y'all can see this right here, but these are the different breath exercises. 4-7-8 breathing, the nervous system reset code. So inhale through the nose for 4 seconds, hold a breath for 7 seconds, exhale through the mouth slowly for 8 seconds. So just different Just different breathing techniques. And I'm going to send you guys this because I don't want to just fly through it, but you can just simply read it, and it's for your vagus nervous system, one aspect of it. The other aspect is just some daily routines. You know, you can do like kind of how like Dipo say, just doing these things daily. You know, you could just do a 2-minute box breathing. You can hum. You could take spiritual baths. You could do mindfulness practices, grounding, like we mentioned earlier. It's so crucial to regulate your nervous system in the mornings. High vibrational foods to make your cells run at optimal space. Fruits, vegetables, all the basic things that we were told to do will actually make you a superhuman. Straight up. If we really do these what they say, they wellness practices, if we really do these things, if this become your lifestyle, you become a superhuman. That's why I put the psychic power. I couldn't get into the psychic power as far as I wanted to with it, but that's why I put that there, because after you do all of that work that we talked about, the body, the mind, you start getting them downloads. That's why you start seeing me online. Like, where Rick getting all this stuff from? People like, somebody said the other day, this ain't mundane stuff you saying. Where you getting this from, bro? It comes to me because my nervous system regulated. I'm chilling. I'm in a good state of mind till I take myself out of it. But that's why the downloads come. That's why it seems supernatural. That's why I was like, dang, you was just speaking to me and you said exactly what I needed. No, we were picking up your energy cues. You become a master manifester. You become a master um of your physiological aspect of yourself, of your spiritual aspect, your biology. You get sick less, your immune system higher. All of these things is what I be saying when I be saying vibrate so high. Vibrate so high that you reset your nerve. You know, I got to end it with the vibrate so high.
Come on.
As always, I hope everybody enjoyed this one here. This was more teaching going on. We went into more wordplay and more science behind it. I hope that didn't bore anybody, but that's necessary in order to really get into this manifestation. I hope Jamie enjoyed it. Janie enjoyed it. I hope whoever else was here, Sajai, Yaz, Rhea, Kimberly, Jessica, some of the same names. I appreciate y'all. I know Jenny, brother probably was here. And Dipo, we always talk about one of the brothers that's here. He actually be listening to these classes from prison. He's in
Come on,
prison,
man.
and we help him with it. And think about that environment and learning these type of things. And you can only trap your body. They can't trap your mind. They can trap your body, but not your mind. And you can use your mind to make sure your body running at optimal pace as well while you locked up. So yeah, that's where we at with it. Anybody got any questions? Anybody got anything they want to take themselves off mute? Maybe say to Dipo or y'all appreciate Dipo, or say to me, whatever it might be. Anybody want to jump in? If not, it's all good. Don't let your nervous system stop you.
Yeah, straight up, bro.
Don't let your nervous system. Don't get too scared to say something out loud. But I appreciate you all. Yeah, thank y'all for showing up, because this what make us do it. She say she didn't make such a deep understanding of scientific insight. That's why I brought Dipo in here, and that's why I brought that science. I want to show that this ain't woo. This ain't just woo-saw in just pseudo energy or just pseudo information. This scientifically based. We ain't playing over here. So next class, I hope y'all join it. Send a review for me if you can. That works. You'll get your email from me probably in the next like 2-3 days. We'll have all the resources. We'll have this. Yeah, I love y'all. I love that y'all came through. I love that. And remember that you know you got control over yourself. Use some of these techniques. Read more about it. Get your own insights. Tell me some stuff. put us on game next time you come to class or something like that if you do show up next time. But Dipo, you got anything for him before we release class?
Yeah, you know, feel free to follow on social media.
Oh yeah.
You know, happy to work with you guys any way that we can. And you know, just
He's a
grateful
great
for you
trainer
guys.
too, by the way, y'all. Y'all need a trainer. He's a great trainer now, by the way. That's what
If
he
you
really
want, if
do.
you want
I
some,
pushed him into teaching. I pushed him into this teaching. I said, "No, bro, you finna teach. I
for
want you to
real.
teach these people this stuff." But he's a good trainer too, so check him out. He put the spiritual aspect in it. It'll probably really help, especially people in this type of class. Yeah, what's your social media? Let them know your social media.
I'll drop it in the group chat here real quick. So
Okay. But yeah, make sure y'all follow him. Katrina couldn't come, Sajai couldn't come with a song because she said she don't like the way the sound. So I'm sorry we couldn't have our normal song that we have. I know we do our song. I know I do my vibrate so high ending, and I might do it. I'm gonna go ahead and do it now just to get the channel message, what we got out of this class, and then we gonna end this thing, y'all. Y'all ready? So basically, vibrate so high that you change your energetic nature. Vibrate so high that you activate the psychic abilities that you came here with. Vibrate so high that you regulate your nervous system. Vibrate so high that you bring the relationships in your life that you deserve. Vibrate so high that you feel with community. Vibrate so high that your depression can't touch you. Vibrate so high that you're not numb to your emotions. You express yourself. You feeling your emotions. You feeling everything within yourself. You have a deeper understanding of yourself. Vibrate so high that only love can come in your atmosphere. Vibrate so high that your energy expands instead of contracts. Vibrate so high that the trauma that you went through in the past, you'll forgive yourself from it. You forgive the people that put you through it. You forgive the people that's putting you through the trauma now. You're creating a new environment. After you leave this class, you will have a new energy, a new perspective, a new understanding, a new vibration. Vibrate so high, y'all. That's what I got for y'all. Vibrate so high.
Yeah, buddy.
Peace and love.
Peace,
Dipo, I'm gonna hit you in the inbox, by the way, bro.
You got it, homie.
All right.
Cool. Later, y'all.
Love y'all, family. Y'all have a good rest of y'all night.
Peace.
Appreciate y'all. Peace. Recording stop.